Chapter 1591. The tea cools down after the person leaves. 1. Of course. As long as you're obedient, we'll part on good terms. I won't show your naked body to anyone. Lung Ruoxue smiled sweetly and said in a friendly manner. You? The second elder was tongue-tied and his eyes were wide open as he glared at Lung Ruoxue. He was so angry that he was half dead. Lung Ruoxue had ordered the guard to use a blank memory crystal to lure him here. Now, she was using his naked photo to threaten him to listen to her. For the sake of his reputation, he had no choice but to do as this wretched girl said. He was feeling extremely aggrieved. Second elder, I don't know when Godfather will restore you to your official position. During this period, let's get along harmoniously. Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she added. Helplessly, the second elder nodded his head. Wu, could he refuse? Would he dare to disagree? Don't you want your reputation? He knew clearly in his heart that once his nude photos were exposed, he would definitely become the laughingstock of others in the divine realm. At that time, it would not be a matter of him losing face, but the entire Ning family's reputation would be damaged. Also, in front of Godfather, I hope you can do your job as a bodyguard. Otherwise, you'll be the one in trouble. Lung Ruoxue reminded him with a smile on her face, with an expression that said, I'm doing this for your own good. I will. The second elder nodded unwillingly, but he couldn't help but think to himself, could it be that this wretched girl wants me to act like I'm obeying her but disobey her in secret? He had to be obedient in front of the master, but what about in private? Did he not have to listen to her? That's good. In the future, when you're in the Ning family, Grape and Lotus Seed will only be responsible for cooking, and you'll be in charge of everything else. Of course, since we're only in a cooperative relationship, you'll have to use your work in exchange for your 3 meals a day. By the way, you're a reverent god, so it shouldn't be a problem if you don't eat. Towards the end of her sentence, Lung Ruoxue started to mumble to herself. However, she felt that she had already expressed her meaning very clearly. She was not providing any food. I know. The second elder replied gloomily. He also wanted the time for him to return to his original position to pass quickly. Hence, even if he was unhappy with Lung Ruoxue, he would still perform well. At least, he had to do it for the family head to see. In addition, well, use the pearl system. Lung Ruoxue continued. What's a beating bead? The second elder was confused. He had never heard of this term before. It means that you have to finish the work I arranged for you the day before, and then you can eat the next day. To put it bluntly, if you couldn't finish the work for the day before, you would have to find your own way to eat the next day. This plan will be implemented tomorrow. Lung Ruoxue explained with a faint smile. Oh, yes, the second elder replied softly. He thought to himself, what a vampire, she's even harsh on my food. However, just as Lung Ruoxue had said, he really didn't care if he ate or not. He had snuck into the kitchen to eat last night because he suddenly had a craving. He didn't think that he would want to eat every day. Grape, tell the second elder what you're doing. Lung Ruoxue turned around and looked at Grape. Yes, miss. Grape laughed to himself and took out a thin piece of paper. The second elder took it and almost fainted. The piece of paper was not big, but it was filled with the work he had to do from morning to night. He only had time to rest after dinner. This was simply abuse of the employee. Looking at the second elder's expression, Lung Ruoxue pretended to be unconcerned and said, Second elder, are you not satisfied with this work? Don't be embarrassed, just tell me if you're not satisfied. We're not outsiders. I'm satisfied. There's nothing to be dissatisfied about. The second elder's face was bitter. Even if he was not satisfied, he did not dare to say it. Although he hadn't been with this wretched girl for a long time, he was very clear that this wretched girl was by no means easy to get along with. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been at a disadvantage every time they crossed swords. Moreover, the naked photos that he was most worried about were in her hands. How could he dare to be dishonest? This was really like a tiger falling into the sun and being bullied by a dog. Wait for the day he makes a comeback. As long as there was a chance to turn things around, he would definitely take revenge. He was filled with hatred in his heart. Since we've already reached an agreement, second elder, go pack your things and move in here. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Move here? The second elder couldn't help but ask. He didn't want to move in with this wretched girl. What freedom would he have then? You're now my young lattice bodyguard. Naturally, you have to follow by her side. Otherwise, what's the use of having you? Grape said unhappily. In her opinion, this old man was really useless except for his strength. Moreover, she secretly hoped that this old man would not finish his work every day, or she would have to prepare his meal. When she thought of this, she was 1,000 times unwilling. All right then. Although he was somewhat unwilling, the second elder did not want to haggle endlessly with them over such a small matter. Otherwise, the one who would be angered to death would only be him. He still had this bit of self-awareness. There's nothing for you to do now. Second elder, go pack your things and move them here. Lung Ruoxue lowered her head to hide her smile. Yes. The second elder nodded his head, but he had some suspicions in his heart. Was Lung Ruoxue trying to send him away so that she could carry out some shady business? However, Lung Ruoxue wouldn't give him the chance to be curious. After she finished speaking, she turned around and went back into the room. Grape and Lotus left hand in hand. As for Ningbo, in order not to be caught by the second elder, he also ran away. Because before he ran, second elder was clearly about to speak. Ningbo was very afraid. Although he respected second elder, at this moment, he didn't dare to be with second elder. After all, he was following Lung Ruoxue, and second elder would leave sooner or later. The second elder watched as the two of them disappeared without a trace. He was secretly angry. He flicked his sleeves and disappeared in a flash. After Lung Ruoxue and the rest had finished their dinner, there was still no sign of second elder. In fact, the second elder was currently sleeping in his room, because that wretched girl had said that his work would start tomorrow. Seeing that he only had one night of freedom, he had to make good use of it. So, he was sleeping. The next day, the second elder woke up naturally. When he opened his eyes, the sky was already bright. The second elder bent over and sighed, "It's still more comfortable to sleep on my own bed." After all, he personally picked the bed and slept in it for a long time. Wait a minute. Did he forget something? The second elder, who had just woken up, was in a daze. However, he vaguely felt that he had not done something yet. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration and remembered that he had to start working today. From the corner of the storage ring, he flipped to the crumpled piece of paper and looked at the small, dense words on it. He felt his head swell. Chapter 1592. The tea cools down after the person leaves. 2. Sighing lightly, he thought of his deal with Lung Ruoxue and had no choice but to get out of bed. When he carefully walked to Lung Ruoxue's residence and entered the courtyard, he saw Grape, who was standing guard in the courtyard. His heart skipped a beat and a bad feeling came over him. "Second elder, you're up so early," Grape said with a face full of envy. "I'm going to work." The second elder ignored Grape's ridicule and forced a smile. "Go and wash the dishes first." Grape raised his eyebrows and reminded, "Wash the dishes? Shouldn't you clean the yard first?" The second elder frowned. He had never washed a bowl before. "Don't you know what time it is? Why are you still sweeping the yard?" Grape said in an unpleasant tone. "Then I'll go wash the dishes." The second elder was very obedient. After he finished speaking, he did not give Grape a chance to speak again and went straight to the kitchen. Looking at the second elder's back, it was Grape's turn to be depressed. This second elder was a little abnormal today. Why was he so easy to talk to? Lotus Seed, could it be that the second elder has been replaced? Looking at Lotus Seed, who walked to his side, Grape asked in a silly way. "Poochie." Lotus Seed laughed out loud and said, "Isn't it good that he's obedient? Don't tell me you want him to go against us all the time like he did 2 days ago. I didn't mean it that way. I'm just not used to his sudden change." Grape explained. "Don't worry. The second elder was very normal. He was very smart. They know that it's useless to fight us head-on, and we have something on them, so they naturally have to listen to us." Lotus Seed said, "That's true. However, I still think that it's better for him not to cooperate. This way, we can take the opportunity to mess with him." Grape laughed evilly. "The second elder isn't that stupid." Lotus Seed shook her head and laughed. The second elder was already in the kitchen. His eyes lit up when he saw the bowls and chopsticks on the stove. He ran over and picked up a bowl to take a closer look. He couldn't help but curse, "Fuck! What a prodigal!" The bowls and chopsticks on the stove were all saint artifacts. This was too extravagant. Although saint artifacts were not considered very valuable in the divine realm, even a top-notch clan like the Ning clan was not extravagant enough to use saint artifacts as utensils. After all, even if saint artifacts were easy to refine, they still required a lot of refining materials. If people had those materials, they would basically keep them for refining divine artifacts. Unwillingly throwing the bowls into the sink, second elder sat by the side and sulked. He had never washed the dishes for anyone before, but now he could only sulk in the kitchen and face these bowls and chopsticks. His heart felt desolate. "Second elder, didn't I tell you to wash the dishes? How are you going to cheat?" Suddenly, Grape's voice rang in the second elder's ears. He was shocked. When did they arrive? As a reverent god, he actually didn't notice the arrival of the two little maidservants. This was really too embarrassing. The second elder hurriedly stood up and ran to the side of the pool. He picked up the bowl and began to wash it haphazardly. He was very afraid that these two maidservants would report him to that wretched girl, so he had no choice but to put on an act. Seeing through the second elder's intentions, Grape and Lotus Seed naturally wouldn't give him this opportunity. The two of them directly stood by his side and began to supervise him. You guys standing next to me, I'm not comfortable." After a long while, the depressed second elder finally opened his mouth to speak. He had been washing the bowl in his hand the entire time. "Second elder, it's a good thing that my lattice bowl is sturdy. Otherwise, wouldn't it have been broken by your washing?" "You're courting death," Grape said angrily. Her beautiful eyes seemed to be spurting flames. "Finish washing this," the second elder hurriedly said as he placed the bowl in his hand on the stove. "I didn't wash it clean." "Second elder, do you not know how to wash the dishes? I'll give you a demonstration." After Grape finished speaking, she pushed second elder to the side in disdain. Then, she picked up a bowl from the sink and began to wash it seriously. Holding the spotless and clean bowl in his hand, he smiled at the second elder as if he was showing off his power. "Do you see this? Just follow this step." "I know." The second elder's depression was indescribable. He had lived for so long, but today, he was actually taught a lesson and looked down on by a little girl. No, it wasn't today. It had been several days, but it was especially obvious today. Then take a good bath. We'll be here to supervise you until you finish your apprenticeship. Grape was smiling. After hearing Grape's words, the second elder's heart turned dark. He still had to wait for him to finish his apprenticeship? How long would he have to stay by his side? So, why was his life so bitter? While the second elder was lamenting, he finally finished washing the dishes and passed the inspection of the grapes and lotus seeds. However, it took him nearly 2 hours just to wash the dishes, and he still had a lot of work to do. Second elder, with your work efficiency, I'm afraid you won't be able to finish today's work. Grape said sympathetically. I'm not familiar with this kind of work. I want to know how to do it if I'm familiar with it. The second elder was a little embarrassed. After the series of blows from Grape, he felt a little inferior. I hope so. After witnessing the second elder's efficiency, Grape no longer had any hope for him. What should I do next? The second elder asked shamelessly as he blinked his dim eyes. Go and get the food for lunch and dinner. Grape face-bombed and sighed. Where do we go to get this? The second elder said cautiously. You don't even know this? Grape gritted his teeth and thought to himself, what kind of person is he, the second elder of the Ning family? You don't even know about such a small matter? I didn't do such a thing. The second elder's voice was very soft, and he even lowered his head as he spoke. In fact, this was mainly because he had never cooked by himself, and the food he used to eat was prepared for him by the servants around him. Therefore, he was the standard owner who would not help the oil bottle fall. The reason why he went to the vegetable garden to pick vegetables the night before was also because he was too hungry. Usually, he would order his attendant to do such a thing. However, now that he had been dismissed from his position as the second elder, he naturally could not enjoy the treatment of being served by an attendant. Go to the kitchen. Don't tell me you don't know the main house's kitchen? Grape's beautiful eyes glared at the second elder, revealing a deep disdain. I know him. I know that place. The second elder was a bit embarrassed. As the former second elder of the Ning family, if he didn't even recognize the kitchen of the Ning family's main residence, then he would be too negligent. If word got out, he would be laughed at. Then you go get the food. Remember, it's almost noon. It doesn't matter if you don't eat as a reverent god, but my young lady has to eat. Grape cautiously reminded. I know. The second elder replied, and then disappeared in a flash. Chapter 1593. The tea cools down after the person leaves. 3. The second elder left. However, the more Grape and Lotus Seed thought about it, the more uneasy they felt. In their eyes, the second elder was too unreliable. The two of them looked at each other and said in unison, "Why don't we go and take a look?" After making up their mind, they said goodbye to Ningbo and went to the kitchen of the main house. The second elder arrived at the main house's kitchen and looked around. The kitchen door was full of people. He was about to walk in when he was suddenly pulled back by a strong man who was maintaining order. Go to the back and line up. The burly man curled his lips and said in disdain. Line up? The second elder was stunned. He had to line up to get a dish? In fact, the second elder just didn't know that receiving a dish would be so troublesome. However, his stunned expression made him look like a fool in the eyes of the burly man. Moreover, this man had only been to the main residence for a short time and didn't recognize the former second elder at all. The people in the queue did recognize him, but they didn't dare to reveal the second elder's identity in public. This could be considered as the tea turning cold when the person passed. What's wrong? Do you have an opinion? The brawny man said with dissatisfaction, his eyes almost reaching the top of his head. Do you know who I am? The second elder took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. It was fine if he was squeezed dry by that wretched girl, but who asked her to have the old ancestor's support? He couldn't afford to offend her. But now, even a servant of the Ning family dared to speak to him in such a tone and look at him with such disdainful eyes. It was really preposterous. Although the second elder had been demoted, the pride in his bones would not allow anyone to trample on it. However, he did not want to make a big deal out of it, lest others hit him when he was down. I don't care who you are. If you're here to get food, you have to line up properly. Don't cause trouble for our head butler, or else you'll have a hard time. The brawny man said disapprovingly. In his opinion, this guy in servant's clothes was not enough to be feared. Who asked him to be a popular person by the chief steward's side? The second elder was about to get angry, but someone beside him quietly tugged at the corner of his clothes and transmitted a message. Second elder, calm down. Your status is different from the past, and he's the new head butler's confidant. Don't anger him, or you'll have a hard time in the Ning family. The person who had sent the message was the unlucky guy who had been caught by the second elder to cook for him 2 days ago. After receiving his message, the second elder nodded slightly. It was indeed better to avoid trouble now. It was better not to provoke these people. It was not that he was afraid, but he did not want to be a joke. After expressing his gratitude to the person who had sent the message, the second elder glanced at the burly man and walked straight to the end of the row. Seeing this, the strong man could not help but show a proud smile. It seemed that his words still had a certain power, the strong man thought to himself. Standing at the end of the row, the second elder's mood was unusually low. He had been high and mighty in the Ning family, but who knew that in just a few days he had fallen from the clouds to the dust? And among the attendants present, most of them knew him, but only one person had sent him a message. Could this be the so-called fickleness of human nature? In the past, the clan members respected him and feared him. However, in the blink of an eye, He had become a fleeting cloud. Such a difference really made people feel disheartened. In the past, when he was in a high position, he had never thought that he would fall from the clouds one day. However, now he really felt it. It was a wonderful feeling. After waiting in line for a long time, there were only 3 people in front of him. The second elder, who had seen a ray of light, was extremely happy. However, just as he was about to celebrate, he was surprised to find that the people who came later ran ahead of him one by one to get the food, but the 3 people in front of him did not move at all. What was this? Cutting the queue? I've been in line for so long, and someone actually dared to cut the line in front of me? This was preposterous. In an instant, the second elder was furious. The second elder grabbed an attendant who was about to walk past him, grabbed him by the collar, and threw him behind him. With a loud sound, the man was thrown far away. What are you doing? Are you trying to cause trouble? The brawny man who maintained order was furious. He didn't expect that someone would dare to use force in front of him. They really didn't want to live. Don't we need to line up to receive the dish? I'm just helping him. The second elder's eyes looked towards the sky as he spoke in an indifferent tone. Who said he needs to line up? Do you think he's the same as you guys? The brawny man said angrily. His bull eyes, which were as big as copper bells, glared at the second elder. He doesn't need to line up? How is he different from us? The second elder's face was full of question marks, and his bright black eyes flickered with doubt. He is 5th young lattice servant. Miss Wu was still waiting for lunch. Don't tell me you dare to make him line up and let 5th young lady go hungry? The burly man asked. Which 5th young lady? The second elder was stunned. There were too many young ladies in the clan, so he didn't know who the other party was talking about. Of course, it's the Ning family's most favored young lady, Miss Ning Xia. The brawny man seemed to be a little self-conscious. After all, 5th young lady had personally spoken to him before. This was enough to make him proud for a while. Therefore, he took special care of the 5th Miss attendants. However, he did not dare to offend the attendants of the young master, the acting master, and the elders. Therefore, the 5th Miss was not the only one who enjoyed special treatment. Ning Xia is the most favored young lady of the Ning family? The second elder was suspicious of the brawny man's words. In his opinion, the Ning family's most favored young lady was clearly the one who had no blood relationship with the Ning family. Even if it didn't work, there was still Ning Yan. How could it be a young lady born of a concubine? Ning Xia might be favored, but only the acting master and some elders favored her. Wasn't she too arrogant to call herself the most favored one? Where would Leng Ruoxue go? Where would Ning Yan be? Of course. So you'd better be tactful and not anger 5th young lady, otherwise I won't let you off. The brawny man threatened. What do you want to do to me? The second elder was so angry that he laughed. That wretched girl dared to threaten him because she had the capital. However, such a thing who used a chicken feather as a token of authority also dared to threaten him. He really didn't know what he was talking about. If the tiger doesn't show its might, does it think I'm a sick cat? It just so happened that he had a stomach full of grievances recently and had no place to vent them. This stinky thing is lucky. I will make you regret this. In the Ning family, there are some people you can't afford to offend. The brawny man was even more furious when he saw that the second elder still had the guts to laugh. You're right. The second elder nodded in agreement. Then, the burly man suddenly shouted, You've violated your superior and beat up your clansmen. I've decided to cancel your allocation for today. Please leave immediately. Chapter 1594. The tea cools down after the person leaves. 4. Cancel the allocation? Didn't that mean that there wouldn't be any food for him today? This can't do. This dish wasn't what he wanted to eat. If he didn't take the dish back and let that wretched girl starve to death, that wretched girl might find some excuse to punish him. He couldn't afford to take the risk. When did I offend my superior and beat up my clansmen? The second elder narrowed his eyes and asked calmly. You hit 5th young lattice attendant. The brawny man said as he looked at the 5th young lattice attendant who had not gotten up. Hit him? I just threw him to the back of the line. How is that considered hitting him? The second elder was speechless. Wasn't this accusation too far-fetched? If a 3-year-old child heard this, he would probably laugh his head off. Of course. The brawny man nodded, a hint of pride in his bull eyes. All right, I've hit him. Then what was the situation of insubordination? I hope you can clear my doubts. The second elder said seriously. He's Miss servant. His status and position are naturally above yours. You've offended your superior. The burly man said. Ah. The second elder was flabbergasted and speechless. Servants were also divided into high and low ranks? Did this silly big guy think that they were all people who served the ancestor? In the Ning family, only the people around the old ancestor would receive special treatment from the clan. No one else had that right, let alone an attendant of the 5th miss who was born of a concubine. However, when beating a dog, one should look at the owner. However, as an ancestor-level figure of the Ning family, he could not accept the face of a 5th miss born of a concubine. As the saying goes, a lean camel is still bigger than a horse. Although he was dismissed from his position as the second elder, his strength was still there. The immortal realm was a world where the strong were respected. Thus, there was no way he would give 5th young miss any face. You're afraid. 5th young lady is someone you cannot afford to offend. Quickly go and kowtow and apologize to her attendant. Perhaps if I'm in a good mood, I will help you put in a good word. The burly man said smugly. Of course, if the second elder wanted him to say something good, he would have to give him enough benefits. Otherwise, he would not speak. After the second elder heard what the burly man said, he grabbed the burly man's collar and pulled him in front of him. You said that I went against my superiors and beat my clansmen, right? And you want me to kowtow and apologize to the servant of a concubine's daughter? You still want to get benefits from me? I'm telling you, dream on. Not to mention beating up an attendant, this old man will also beat you up. After the second elder finished speaking, he threw the brawny man to the ground again. The brawny man was just about to curse when he suddenly saw the frightening Shun power in the second elder's hand and the pressure coming from the second elder. He was instantly dumbfounded. How could this be possible? Although he couldn't tell the level of the person in front of him, he didn't expect the other party to have such terrifying strength. In an instant, he even felt the threat of death so close to him. Just as the brawny man was tongue-tied and unable to speak, the second elder suddenly retracted his divine power and increased the pressure. To deal with such a person who bullied the weak and feared the strong, it was enough to just use pressure. It would be a waste to even attack. And the reality was just as the second elder had thought. The frightening pressure had already made it hard for the strong man to breathe. Blood was even seeping out of his 7 orifices. Not only that, but the fine blood vessels in the strong man's eyes had also completely burst, causing his eyes to be red and swollen. His eyes were swollen until they were a line. The other clansmen were shocked to see this. However, no one was willing to plead for mercy on behalf of the strong man, because none of them dared to provoke the second elder. Fortunately, the pressure released by the second elder was only directed at the strong man. Otherwise, they would also be implicated. At the thought of this, everyone took a few steps back subconsciously. They were afraid. Second elder, please show mercy. Suddenly, a man's voice rang in the second elder's ears. The second elder raised his head unwillingly and glanced at the man who had spoken. He then said indifferently, "Who are you? State your name." At the same time as he spoke, he also withdrew his pressure. Otherwise, that snobbish fellow's little life would not be guaranteed. Second elder, your subordinate, Ning Dong, will temporarily take over the position of head butler. The man who spoke was around 30 years old. He had good facial features and clear eyes. He looked like a refreshing man. Oh, so you're the new substitute butler. However, I'm no longer the second elder of the Ning family, so don't call me the wrong person. After a long while, the second elder slowly opened his mouth. In this subordinate's heart, no one can replace second elder's position. Ning Dong wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said carefully. He had heard from his clansmen that the second elder liked to hear people flatter him, so he could only choose what the second elder liked to hear. "Oh really? You sure know how to talk, but what a pity. If you think he'll let your confidant go just because of a few nice words from you, then you're gravely mistaken." The second elder laughed coldly. As a person who had lost his power, his feelings for others were naturally different from the past. Therefore, Ning Dong's words not only did not gain the second elder's good impression, but also made things worse. "This subordinate didn't mean it that way. Old forefather has misunderstood." Ning Dong cried bitterly in his heart. This second elder seemed to be different from what he had heard. What should he do? Besides, he was not allowed to call him second elder, so he could only call him old ancestor. In terms of the second elder's seniority, this was quite true. However, the second elder was still not satisfied. "Only the family head is worthy of being an ancestor. I'm not worthy," the second elder teased. Ning Dong was speechless. The second elder was more difficult to serve than he had imagined, but he could not afford to offend this person. Although the second elder's position had been removed by the master, he had been arranged by the master to be a bodyguard for his goddaughter. According to the third elder, the master's love for his goddaughter was unparalleled, so the second elder was even more untouchable. Previously, when he heard that something had happened here and that the second elder was involved, he had rushed over in a rush. Therefore, until now, he still didn't know how his subordinate had offended the second elder. If he asked, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to deal with the aftermath. However, he was like walking on thin ice in the Ning family. There weren't many people around him that he could trust. If he let the second elder kill his subordinate in a rage, he would be very willing to bear the consequences. Ning Dong was very anxious, and the third elder, who he had gone to ask for help, had not appeared. Therefore, the only thing he could do now was to hold the second elder back, in case the old man attacked too heavily and took the lives of his subordinates. However, the second elder did not give him any face at all. He had been struggling for a long time over the way he addressed him. What should he do? Just as Ning Dong was feeling anxious, like an ant on a hot pan, not knowing what to do, the second elder spoke again. "Oh right. This subordinate of yours has convicted me of a few crimes. He said that I've offended my superiors, beat up my clansmen, and even asked me to kowtow and apologize to that trash." The second elder pointed at the servant on the ground and said coldly. The coldness in his eyes became more and more serious. Chapter 1595. The tea cools down after the person leaves. 5. "Well, he did it because he didn't know your identity," Ning Dong stammered. In fact, even he felt that this reason was unreasonable, but he finally knew the reason for the second elder's anger. Thinking of this, he secretly glared at his subordinate. Useless thing, he had long been warned to be careful in the Ning family's main residence, but he still caused such a thing for him. "You don't know my identity? What is my status? I'm just a clan member who has been demoted." Sigh. "Aren't many people good at kicking people when they're down?" The second elder sighed, his face filled with disappointment. "Your strength is clear for all to see. No one in the Ning family would dare to disrespect you." Ning Dong said with a smile. "Don't give me that. I won't let this thing go even if you say all the good things you want to say." The second elder said stubbornly. "Then what will it take for you to let him go?" Ning Dong asked carefully with a bitter face. "I've already said that I don't intend to let him off." The second elder was getting impatient. Was he not clear enough? He actually asked again. "Second brother, why get angry with a servant?" At this moment, another voice was heard. The second elder and Ning Dong both knew who the owner of the voice was. Instantly, a hint of joy emerged in Ning Dong's heart, but the second elder did not even raise his head. "Second brother, give me some face and let him off." The third elder pointed at the muscular man who was lying on the ground and unable to resist. "How much is your face worth?" The second elder said in an unpleasant tone. "Second brother." The third elder walked over and pulled the second elder to the side. He whispered, "Second brother, give me some face. Ning Dong is still in the trial stage, and that man is his confidant. If we lose him, wouldn't it be letting others have their way? What does that have to do with me?" The second elder didn't think much of it. Second brother, I'm begging you. I owe you a favor. If you need anything in the future, just say the word and I'll do my best. The third elder lowered his posture and tried to please him. Don't tell me he's going to let me off just like that for the crimes I've committed and the beating of my clansmen? Oh right, he also asked me to kowtow and apologize to Ning Shi Heir's attendant. Is Ning Shi Heir's servant worthy of the same treatment as our ancestor? The second elder complained. Second brother, they'll get him to kowtow to you as an apology, and I can also hand over Ning Shi Heir's attendant to you. What do you think? The third elder stated his conditions. Third brother, I'm not here to look for trouble. I'm here to get my food, but after waiting in line for more than an hour, it's still not my turn. Those behind me have already gotten their food. What do you think this is? I didn't get these dishes for myself. They're for that damned head. It's almost noon. If I delay her meal and cause her to go hungry, I don't know if she'll say something to the head of the family. Also, if I'm not mistaken, that substitute butler Ning Dong is one of your men, right? Do you think he can pass the trial with his work efficiency? The second elder said with a smile that was not a smile. In the eyes of the third elder, his smug look was a threat, a fox exploiting the tiger's might. Second brother, I'll ask Ning Dong to bring the food to you immediately, and you don't have to come to pick up the food in person from tomorrow onwards. I'll ask Ning Dong to send it to the back of the mountain for you. Is that okay? The third elder coaxed him while secretly scolding the second elder for being a sly old fox. He had actually used Lung Ruoxue to shut him up. Even though he was the third elder, he really couldn't afford to offend Lung Ruoxue, who had been given special privileges by the great ancestor. Think about it, because of that woman, even the second elder was fired. If he really offended Lung Ruoxue, how good would his end be? Moreover, his cultivation was not even as high as the second elder As. Do you think the back mountain is your own back garden? Is that a place where anyone can enter? Besides, taking the food is one of my jobs, you can't take it away from me. The second elder sneered. Ah. The third elder didn't expect his second brother to be so difficult to deal with today. Did he take the wrong medicine? He had wanted to say that he could hand the food over to the guards at the entrance of the forbidden area, but the second elder insisted that he could not deprive him of his job of collecting food. What else could he say? The third elder fell silent. His shrewd eyes seemed to be filled with hidden bitterness as he stared at the second elder. Just as they were looking at each other affectionately, Lung Ruoxue brought along some grapes and lotus seeds. She walked over slowly and elegantly from the small path. In that instant, second elder and third elder's hearts were in their throats. Under such circumstances, they did not wish to see Lung Ruoxue, but they could not pretend that they did not see her. Although the rest of the people present knew Lung Ruoxue's identity, they were not very clear about how much power the master had given Lung Ruoxue. This was something only the higher-ups of the Ning family knew. Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes flickered as she scanned the current situation. She then smiled and said, "Second elder, why do you take so long to collect the food? I am in line. There are too many people." The second elder was extremely embarrassed and resentful. "Woo! Why did this damned girl come? You're not done." Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly, a cold glint flashing across her beautiful eyes. "I'm done. Ning Dong, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and give the food to the second elder." The third elder spoke before the second elder could. He just wanted to send this young lady away as soon as possible. Otherwise, someone would be in trouble. Oh. Ning Dong noticed third elder's eye signals and knew that he could not afford to offend this woman. Therefore, he wanted to send Lung Ruoxue away as soon as possible as he could already guess her identity. In an instant, Ning Dong ran into the kitchen and came out again. Then he put the storage ring in the second elder's hand and quickly stood to the side, trying to keep his presence as low as possible. He kept muttering in his heart, "Just pretend I don't exist. I'm begging you." Chapter 1596, Evidence of a Crime, 1. Holding the storage ring that Ning Dong had given him in his hand, second elder looked at third elder, then at Lung Ruoxue. He could not make up his mind. Should he leave? If he just left like this, wouldn't it be too easy for these lowly dogs? But if he didn't leave, wouldn't he be a laughingstock to this wretched girl? The second elder thought about it, and his brows furrowed together. Lung Ruashua looked at the second elder, who had a conflicted expression on his face, and laughed in her heart. This old man really cared a lot about his face. It was a pity that there were so many people present. His face was probably long gone. The third elder, who was on tenterhooks, saw that the second elder was still here after taking the food. He was so anxious that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. Hurry up and leave. Don't stay here any longer. Even though he was hoping that second elder and Lung Ruashue would leave quickly, he still had to put on an ingratiating smile on his face. Hence, at first glance, third elder looked like a silly old man. Second elder, what happened here just now? After a long while, Lung Ruashue said with a smile. Her words caused second elder and third elder to break out in cold sweat, especially when they saw Lung Ruakshu's gaze drift towards the burly man from time to time. Their hearts sank at the same time. I'm fine. It's all a misunderstanding. The third elder spoke first. As he spoke, he kept winking at the second elder. There's a small misunderstanding. The second elder bit the bullet and said, looking at the third elder with a gaze that said, "You have to compensate me." The third elder returned a look of agreement. The two of them had reached an agreement. Lung Ruashua looked at the two half-grown old men's flirtatious gazes and how they were colluding with each other. She laughed nonchalantly and asked, "What's up with him?" The him that Lung Ruashua was referring to was naturally the burly man who had fainted from the second elder's pressure. The weather was too hot, he fainted from the heat. The third elder was quick-witted as he said proudly, "Fainted from the sun?" Lung Ruakshu's face was clearly filled with suspicion. Yes, yes. The third elder hurriedly nodded. Is the weather very hot today? Lung Ruashue raised her head and looked at the sky. At this moment, there was a refreshing breeze in the sky. The breeze was pleasant and it was a good weather. One must know that this kind of weather was the most suitable for a trip. His body is too weak. He will faint at the slightest sign of trouble. The third elder bit the bullet and said, "Is your body that weak?" Lung Ruakshu's face was filled with sympathy. She then turned to third elder and said, "My maidservant knows the art of silver needles. Why don't you let her help you treat it?" No need. He's just a servant." The third elder was shocked. What silver needle technique? How come he had never heard of it after living for so long? However, regardless of whether the silver needle technique was real or fake, he would never allow Lung Ruakshu's maidservant to treat him. What if something bad happened? Third elder. How could there be a distinction between noble and lowly lives? Moreover, saving a life was better than building a 7-story pagoda. This was a great thing to do. You can't stop me, AI. I can't bear to see other people suffer, so I'm definitely going to save this person today. Lung Ruashue said stubbornly. Following that, she gave Grape and Lotus a look. The two of them understood and immediately walked to the front of the brawny man. Third elder. Our silver needle technique has been passed down from young miss, so you don't have to worry. We can definitely cure his injuries. Grape consoled her. Then, a bunch of silver needles appeared in her hand. The silver needle was very smooth and shone with a dazzling cold light. The needle was as thick as a chopstick and about a foot long. It was a terrifying sight. Thanks after seeing the silver needle in Grape's hand. Many people of the Ning family immediately broke out in cold sweat. With such thick silver needles in his body, it was extremely painful. Was he trying to save his life or kill him? Immediately, everyone looked at the brawny man with a hint of sympathy mixed with fear, and they subconsciously took a few large steps back. At this moment, Grape had already pulled out a silver needle. The tip of the needle glowed with a cold light, and he quickly stabbed it into the unconscious man. After that, one needle after another. Half of the strong man's body was pierced like a porcupine, and the silver needles in Grape's hand were used up. However, the unconscious strong man did not wake up, but this scene had already frightened many people. How painful it must be to have so many silver needles on your body. However, what was strange was that this strong man did not wake up. It seemed that his injuries were not light. When the third elder saw that the silver needles in Grape's hand were all used up, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. He thought to himself, "Fortunately, my little life is saved." When he was inserting the needle into the Grape earlier, he had wanted to stop her. However, he was afraid that he would anger Leng Ruoxue, so he did not dare to make a sound. As for the second elder, after seeing this scene, his heart went thump thump thump. His heart was filled with fear. These women were really too terrifying. It seemed that they had been merciful to him. However, before everyone could calm down, Lotus Seed smiled at them and took out a silver needle of the same thickness and size. She slowly stabbed it into the burly man's body. Immediately, a few of the more timid ones fainted. Most of the people were pale and looked like they had lost their souls. After Lotus Seed had inserted more than 30 needles, the brawny man lying on the ground finally woke up from the pain caused by the silver needles. He jumped up 10 meters high and kept shouting, "Fuck! It hurts." Then he descended from the sky. When he saw the long silver needles on his body, he passed out again. Seeing this, Lotus Seed had no choice but to continue with the acupuncture. Looking at the burly man who had been pricked like a porcupine, Grape and Lotus Seed looked at each other, satisfied with their work. Then, the two of them pulled out the needles from the burly man's body one by one. However, to everyone's surprise, the burly man did not bleed at all. After pulling it out, the two of them did the same thing again, repeating the action of inserting and pulling out the needle. After doing it a few times, the strong man finally woke up again. However, at this time, his body seemed to be in a mess. There was not a single place on his body that did not hurt, and it was as if there were insects biting his body. "Since you've woken up, you should treasure your little life. You'll remember it. My family's young miss is your life savior." Grape held a bunch of silver needles in her hand, glaring at him with her beautiful eyes as she warned. "Yes, yes." The brawny man nodded his head in fear. This time, he did not dare to faint again. The silver needle swayed back and forth in front of his eyes, causing his body to tremble like a willow in the wind. When the crowd heard Grape's words, they could not help but think in their hearts, how shameless. That brawny man had clearly woken up from the pain of being pricked by needles, yet they had actually become his saviors. How was this saving his life? This was clearly a life-and-death situation. At this moment, they felt 120,000 points of sympathy for the burly man, but they couldn't help him. Chapter 1597, Evidence of a Crime, 2. Third Elder. I didn't fail you. Grape looked at the third elder with a smile. "Thank you, Grape and Miss Lotus Seed." The third elder said gloomily, "What the hell is this?" She was stabbed half to death by them, and she actually had to thank them. This was really unfair. "You are too polite, third elder. Miss often admonishes us that doing good deeds is a must, and we shouldn't expect anything in return." Grape said innocently. However, her words did not seem to be the case in the ears of third elder. What did this mean? He had only expressed his thanks, but the other party had said that he didn't want anything in return. Did he have to give them benefits after almost killing his people? The third elder was extremely depressed and at a loss. His resentful gaze kept drifting towards the second elder, as if to say, "You're the one who caused this trouble." However, the third elder's flirtatious looks were completely ignored by the second elder, because his thoughts were all used on rejoicing. He couldn't help but think to himself, "It seems that compared to that unlucky brawny man, I'm still considered lucky. At least I didn't suffer so many needles." Pooh, that was close. The second elder and the third elder seemed to have a good relationship. They're always sending signals with their eyes. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue sighed again. Her beautiful face was filled with envy. Her words caused the two half-grown old men, who had different thoughts, to quickly come back to their senses. They subconsciously kept a safe distance so as not to give people a bad association. Leng Ruoxue looked at their anxious expressions and laughed in her heart. However, she maintained a serious expression on her face. "Second elder, third elder, what's wrong with that person? Lung Ruoxue pointed at one of the servants. Ah. The third elder wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and was at a loss for words. This was because he had no idea what had happened to that person. When he had rushed over, his attention had been focused on the second elder. In addition, Lung Ruoxue had also arrived. Hence, he had not noticed that someone had fainted. Miss Lang, that man is the servant of our Ning family's most favored fifth miss. The second elder lifted his eyelids and said in a neutral tone. Oh, is he also weak? Lung Ruoxue was extremely curious. Then, she muttered to herself, why are there so many weak people in the Ning family? It seems that when there is time, I will have to let my maidservant give you a good diagnosis. When she said this, her face was full of worry. However, her words scared everyone half to death. Someone immediately shouted, Miss Lang. He didn't faint because he was weak, he was knocked unconscious by second elder because he cut the queue. Cut the queue? That's a big problem. Lung Ruoxue turned her gaze towards third elder and the rest. Her gaze caused their hearts to palpitate. Lung Ruoxue's malicious gaze was simply too terrifying, causing them to feel flustered. Don't worry, Miss Lung. Such a thing will never happen again. The third elder quickly promised. What about this time? Are we just going to let him go like this? Lung Ruoxue was very dissatisfied with third elder's words. I want tea. He would not let him off. He would be dealt with strictly according to the clan rules. Miss Lung, please rest assured. The third elder smiled, trying to please him. That's good. Then I'll wait for the third elder's decision. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Let's go back. Lung Ruoxue then said to Grape and the rest. Following that, the three of them and the second elder returned to their residence in the forbidden area behind the mountain. After returning to the forbidden area, Lung Ruoxue sat on the stone chair in the courtyard. She stared at second elder with a smile that was not a smile, causing second elder's hair to stand on end. Even though second elder really wanted to know why Lung Ruoxue kept staring at him, he was afraid that Lung Ruoxue would find trouble with him because of the previous incident. Hence, he could only be like a little wife and not make a sound. Second elder, you still have a lot of work to do today, don't you? Lung Ruoxue asked indifferently. Thanks, I'm going to work. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the second elder whispered. Watching the second elder's back, Grape's face was filled with dissatisfaction. Miss, why should we help him deal with that guy? He didn't even tell us the truth. Grape had a very strong opinion of the second elder. In fact, they were very clear about what happened in the kitchen just now. However, in order to put on a show, they played dumb. They did not expect the second elder to not tell them the truth. Could it be because they were outsiders? As soon as she thought of this possibility, she was filled with anger. He's a prideful person. He naturally doesn't want us to know about such an embarrassing matter. Lung Ruoxue understood. You really just want to keep your face? Wasn't it to protect the Ning family? Grape was very doubtful. Second elder has been in a high position for many years. Besides us and Godfather, who in the Ning family dares to make him angry? That old man is a proud and unyielding man, but today he was humiliated in front of the younger generation of the family. Do you think he would be willing to let us know of such an embarrassing matter? Lung Ruoxue laughed. That's true. What a pitiful second elder. Grape was a little sympathetic. Which part of him is pitiful? Wasn't he just ignored by a junior? Isn't it normal for the tea to turn cold when the person is gone? Lung Ruoxue said disapprovingly. Miss words make sense. Grape said in a friendly manner. Then he continued, Miss, we're going to cook. After saying that, she pulled Lotus Seed away. After lunch, Lung Ruoxue was invited by the people sent by Ning Haolon. When they arrived at Land Garden, Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised to see Ning Haolon, who had a serious expression on his face. What happened? Lung Ruoxue was puzzled. Follow me, Ning Haolon said. Then he brought Lung Ruoxue to a room in a side courtyard of Land Garden. A young man was lying unconscious on the bed in the room. His breathing was weak, his expression haggard, and his body was covered in wounds. At a glance, one could tell that this man was seriously injured. Can he still be saved? Ning Haolan frowned as he looked at Leng Ruoxue. Ning Wen's injuries were too severe for ordinary healing pills to save him. Who is he? Leng Ruoxue asked instead of answering. My servant, Ning Wen. Ning Haolan sighed. He's Ning Wen? Where did you find him? Leng Ruoxue was very curious. In Bianqing. Ning Haolan was a little sad. Ning Wen had been by his side since they were young, but now he had betrayed him. This made him extremely disappointed. My men found him on the streets of Bianqing. According to speculation, he should have run to Bianqing by himself, but we can only know the exact situation after he wakes up. Ning Haolan explained simply. Can you save him? Ning Haolan asked. Yes, I can. Leng Ruoxue said with certainty. To her, curing Ning Wen was just a matter of taking a pill. However, even if she managed to cure Ning Wen, she did not want to let him off. However, she believed that Ning Haolan hated Ning Wen even more than she did. Chapter 1598, Evidence of a Crime, 3. I'll have to trouble you to cure him. Ning Haolan pleaded. All right. Leng Ruoxue was very generous. She then took out a milky white pill that glowed with a brilliant light and passed it to Ning Haolan. She then found a chair and sat down. Ning Haolan placed the pill into Ning Wen's mouth. Not long after, the wounded Ning Wen slowly woke up. Ning Wen opened his eyes and the first thing he saw was Ning Haolan. He quickly jumped off the bed and knelt in front of Ning Haolan, tears streaming down his face. Young master. I'm sorry. You know you've let me down, but you still did that. Ning Haolan said coldly, and the coldness in his eyes grew. Young master. I have my own difficulties. Ning Wen's face was ashen. He did not expect that he would be able to keep his life. He had thought that he would never see his young master again. You've been by my side for so many years. What difficulties can't you tell me? You have to betray me? Ning Haolan was speechless. When Ning Wen heard Ning Haolan's words, he lowered his head deeply and did not dare to speak. He knew that his betrayal had hurt the young master. However, in his most desperate moment, the only thing he could think of was to apologize to the young master if he had the chance. Besides, he did not dare to ask for the young master's forgiveness. Who asked you to go to the warehouse to retrieve the forgotten soul? Ning Haolan asked after a while. It's fifth young lady. Ning Wen said in a low voice and lowered his head even more. You actually dare to listen to her orders? Ning Haolan squinted his eyes and said unhappily. Fifth young lady sent people to capture my entire family and threaten me. She wanted me to use the young master's name to retrieve some forgotten souls for her. I had no choice but to listen to her. However, later on, I found out that my family had died an unnatural death and realized that fifth young lady wanted to silence me. So, I fled from Main City. I didn't expect that I would be found by fifth young lattice people in the end. Fifth young lattice people hit me off the cliff. I thought I was dead for sure, but I didn't expect to survive. However, my injuries were too serious. The place where I was injured was very close to Bianqing, so I went there. I wanted to have a chance to come back to the main city to see the young master for the last time, but I almost died there. Ning Wen spoke softly and cried as if he had been greatly wronged. Are you willing to testify against Ning Xie? At this moment, Leng Ruoxue finally spoke. I'm willing. Ning Wen said without hesitation. Although he did not know who the woman who spoke was, a woman who could be with the young master was definitely not an ordinary woman. He still had a good eye for this. Other than retrieving Ning Xie's soul, what else have you done for her? Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile. There's nothing else. However, I know that she has bribed many people in the family. Moreover, the people she sent to kill me are very powerful. Ning Wen replied honestly. Right now, he really wanted to atone for his crimes with his achievements. Hence, he would answer whatever Leng Ruoxue asked, as long as it was within his thoughts. After hearing Ning Wen's words, Leng Ruoxue muttered to herself for a moment before she said to Ning Haolan, Young Master Ning, let him have a good rest. Let's go out. Ning Haolan nodded and left the room with Leng Ruoxue. After returning to the main courtyard of Lan Garden, Ning Haolan brought Lung Ruoxue to the living room. After they sat down, Ning Haolan couldn't help but ask, "What are your plans?" "You're the one who should be asked that." Lung Ruoxue smiled. "Ning Shi-er is my stepsister," Ning Haolan said after sighing. "Thanks, I know. Even if she was your biological sister, I would still take revenge for Shano, let alone your sister." Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. "We don't have a good relationship, but Uncle pampers her a lot." Ning Haolan explained. "If that's the case, then there's even less to worry about." Lung Ruoxue laughed coldly. Actually, she had wanted to make a move on Ning Shi-er after the Ning family's competition was over. However, she did not expect to find Ning Wen. This way, things would be easier. I won't let her off either," Ning Haolan said through gritted teeth. The incident back then had always been a thorn in his heart. If it had not been for Ning Shi-er's mother, his parents would not have died. Although the main culprit was already dead, Ning Xie was still alive and stirring up trouble. In the past, he had kept Ning Shi-er alive, not only because he was weak, but also because Ning Xie was too good at acting. It was rare to find anything that could be used against her, so he had to make use of this good opportunity. "When do you plan to make your move?" Lung Ruoxue. "If we can't make a move in a day or two, then we can only wait for the clan competition to end." Ning Haolan frowned and thought for a while. "I still have a match with her. Godfather said to let us compete after the family competition. If you attack now, I'm afraid our competition will be ruined." Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. "You want to compete with her?" Ning Haolan raised an eyebrow. "Of course not. I'm only a mid-level deity. Even though she's only a deity, she's 2 levels higher than me." Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. In reality, she really didn't care whether they competed or not. She didn't care about Ning Shi-er at all. The key thing was that she didn't want to expose herself too early. Otherwise, she would have taken action the moment Ning Duan betrayed Ning Shi-er. It was precisely because she didn't take Ning Shi-er seriously that she hadn't made a move. If that's the case, let's go find the acting patriarch and the elders to discuss this matter. Ning Haolan was also afraid that a long delay would bring more trouble, so he wanted to cut the Gordian knot as soon as possible. Previously, he was afraid that Ning Duan's words alone would not be able to gain the trust of the acting master and the elders, so he had not taken any action. Now, if he still could not convict Ning Shi-er with 2 witnesses, then he would be a failure as the young master. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Even though this did not go according to her plan, it did not matter much. Both of them were people of action. After making their decision, they sent someone to invite the acting family head and the elders, while they went to the meeting hall to wait. Not long after, Ning Yuan and the other elders arrived. Seeing that Ning Haolan and Lung Ruoxue were already seated in the meeting hall, Ning Yuan and the other elders did not say anything even though they had their doubts. Seeing that they were silent, Lung Ruoxue and Ning Haolan actually had a tacit understanding not to speak either. Instead, they sipped their tea in silence. After a long time, Ning Yuan finally could not sit still. "Miss Lung, Haolan, is there anything important that you've requested for a family meeting?" Ning Yuan couldn't help but ask. The competition between the families had been called off for the past 2 days. He had wanted to rest well, but who knew that Hao Lan would call for a meeting? If he was alone, he might have asked Hao Lan to postpone the meeting. However, with Lung Ruoxue around, he couldn't say that. "Acting clan head. I found Ning Wen," Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. Chapter 1599. Evidence of a crime. 4. Really? Where is he? Ning Yuan was overjoyed. Ever since the soul-forgetting incident, some of the clan members had been criticizing Hao Lan in private. Some said that he had not been strict enough to keep things under control. Some felt that he was not innocent because Ning Wen, who had been to the storeroom, had gone missing. As a result, Hao Lan had no evidence to prove his innocence. Although most of them believed in Hao Lan, gossip was a fearful thing after all. "I've already sent people to keep an eye on him, acting patriarch, elder. Ning Wen has already told me everything." Ning Haolan spoke frankly, then repeated what Ning Wen had said earlier. When the elders heard this, They were all shocked, because this answer was too unexpected. None of them had thought that Ning Wen's soul-stealing was actually under Ning Shi-er's instructions. How is this possible? Ning Yuan was especially surprised. Why would Shi-er, who was usually very obedient, do such a thing? This was too unacceptable. In his eyes, Shi-er had always been someone to be cherished. Although she was a little willful sometimes, it was not a big deal. Moreover, he also believed that this was because she had lost her parents when she was young, so he doted on her even more. In addition, Shi-er had always lived very carefully, as if walking on thin ice. What was the purpose of such a cautious Shi-er doing such a thing? He could not understand. Acting clan head. Nothing is impossible. You've never really understood her. If you knew what the people below were saying about her, you wouldn't be so surprised. Ning Haolan helplessly reminded him. He knew that his first uncle would not believe him so easily. Besides, this would hurt his first uncle quite a bit. How would he feel if the junior he had always doted on and loved like a pearl had been playing with him? Ning Yuan was speechless. Was what Hao Lan said true? Had Shi been lying to him all this time and acting with him? He could not believe it. How old was she? If she had been trying to please him since she was young, then how deep was her shrewdness? Acting clan head. Everyone says that Ning Shi-er is our Ning family's most favored young lady, and 5th Miss has always been arrogant and domineering. Even 5th Miss maidservants and attendants are superior to the others. At this time, the third elder slowly spoke. There's such a thing? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Ning Yuan's eyes widened as he asked in disbelief. I've only heard of it, and I don't have any concrete evidence, so how am I supposed to tell you? Moreover, what you hear is false and what you see is true. It's useless to just listen to others. The key is that you have to see it for yourself. The third elder said helplessly. When Leng Ruoxue saw third elder's expression, she could not help but curse in her heart. What a cunning old fox. All the elders present, except for Ning Yuan, probably knew what kind of person Ning Shi was. Yet she did not tell anyone. Clearly, the drunkard's intentions were not in the wine. They didn't care about Ning Shi at all. Just Ning Shi alone wouldn't be able to cause much trouble. The people they were worried about were Ning Yuan and Ning Haolan. The reason they had left Ning Shi alone was probably to create an opportunity for Ning Yuan and Ning Haolan to make mistakes. However, although Ning Shi was willful and pampered, she had done a good job of keeping up appearances. At the very least, she would not let anyone find any real evidence against her. Even if he was caught, he could just find an excuse that he was young and insensible. It was precisely because of this that Ning Yuan and Ning Haolan had never encountered any major problems. However, Ning Haolan was the one who had picked the fight, so she was really curious about the elder's reaction. You've also heard about it? Ning Yuan turned his gaze to the other elders present. I've heard about it. All the elders said in unison. This was no secret, so how could they not know? Only the acting master would be so silly as to think that Ning Shio was an honest and obedient girl. Damn it! Ning Yuan gritted his teeth. The veins on his forehead were throbbing, and the anger in his heart was slowly rising. His hands that were holding the chair's handle were holding it so tightly that his nails were sinking in. Please don't be angry, acting patriarch. This is the evidence I've collected regarding Ning Shi-er's crimes. Please take a look. Ning Haolan handed over a palm-sized booklet. Thanks. After Ning Yuan took it, his hands trembled as he opened it and browsed through it. His face turned from white to red, from red to green, from green to black to purple, and from purple to black. The colors alternated one after another, like a palette, and it was not exciting. While he was watching, Leng Ruoxue and the rest were silently drinking their tea, and no one disturbed him. Suddenly, bang! With a crisp sound, Ning Yuan slammed the booklet on the table. With a dark face, he ordered the guard, "Men! Bring the 5th young lady here." "Yes." The guards outside the hall responded and quickly left. After waiting for a while, 5th Miss was brought in by the guard. After entering the meeting hall and seeing the crowd in front of her, a hint of impatience flashed in Ning Shi-er's eyes, but her beautiful face still had a smile. "Uncle, why did you call Shi-er over?" Ning Shi-er's voice was extremely sweet. If Lung Ruoxue did not know what kind of person she was, she might have thought that she was a pampered girl. Unfortunately, Ning Shi-er was a vicious wolf in the coat of a delicate woman. She was pretending to be weak. There's something I want to confirm with Shi-er. The other elders sipped their tea gently and pricked up their ears to listen to the conversation between Ning Yuan and Ning Shi-er. Uncle, if you have anything to say, just say it. Shi-er will definitely tell you everything I know. Ning Shi-er said obediently. From the corner of her eye, she suddenly saw Lung Ruoxue sitting in an inconspicuous position, and the anger in her heart rose. Why was this damned woman here? Ning Shi-er's heart was filled with anger. She did not want to see Lung Ruoxue, but this woman was everywhere. Look at what this is. Ning Yuan threw the booklet he had thrown on the table at Ning Shi-er. The booklet hit Ning Shi-er and fell to the ground with a thud. Ning Shi-er didn't know what was going on, but she could feel her uncle's displeasure. As such, she carefully picked up the booklet on the ground, and with one look, her beautiful face turned pale. It turned out that this book actually recorded all the things she had done over the years, and all of them were bad things. What should he do? Ning Shi-er's heart was burning with anxiety. She didn't know how to get away with it. Moreover, Lung Ruoxue was here, and she didn't want her to make a fool of herself. After thinking about it for a while, Ning Shi-er forced herself to calm down. She still didn't know who had given this book to her uncle, so she couldn't panic. Uncle, I don't understand what you mean. Did Shi-er do something wrong? Ning Shi-er looked aggrieved, and tears welled up in her beautiful eyes. Chapter 1600, Evidence of a Crime, 5. Were you the one who did this? Ning Yuan asked coldly, the coldness in his dark eyes growing stronger. Uncle, who is framing me like this? How could I do such a thing? Uncle, please make the decision for me. The tears in Ning Shi-er's eyes flowed down her cheeks from the corners of her eyes, making her look very pitiful and heartbreaking. I was the one who told the acting patriarch. Ning Haolan said with a faint smile. Big brother, I know you don't like me, but I'm still your sister. How could you frame me? Ning Shi-er said in disbelief. Her eyes were wide open, and there was a hint of disappointment and sadness in them. My mother only gave birth to me. I don't have a sister. So, you don't have to try to get close to me. I'm not your uncle, so I won't fall for your tricks. As for whether the contents of the book are true or false, you know it in your heart. Ning Haolan sneered. Why are you talking so much nonsense with her? She won't admit it. Lung Ruoxue lifted her eyelids and said indifferently. That's true. If she was willing to admit it, she wouldn't be her. Ning Haolan smiled. Of course I won't admit it. You're clearly working together to frame me. Ning Shi-er said angrily as she turned her resentful eyes to Ning Yuan. In the past, if she had done something wrong or had any requests, as long as she looked at her uncle like this, he would immediately surrender and stand on her side. It could be said that this look of hers had been tried and tested. However, this time, Ning Yuan resisted the urge to look at her. Ning Shi-er was dumbfounded. Why is it not useful? Did her uncle not believe her anymore? This was absolutely not allowed. Her uncle was her biggest backer. If he didn't help her, what position would she have in the Ning family? For a moment, she was a little panicked. What does fifth young lady have that is worth us framing? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh. She realized that Ning Shi-er's paranoia was quite serious. They obviously didn't care about it, but Ning Shi-er thought they were framing her. You're jealous that I'm favored by the Ning family. Ning Shi-er said after some thought. You're favored? It was so funny. Is there anyone else in the Ning family who dotes on you besides the acting master? Lung Ruoxue said with a speechless expression. I am a direct descendant of the Ning family. Ning Shi-er was at a loss for words. She really couldn't think of anyone else in the Ning family who doted on her other than her eldest uncle. Those elders who usually spoke up for her had only treated her differently because of her eldest uncle and her stepbrother. Other than that, she really didn't seem to have anything to be proud of. Therefore, she couldn't lose her status. Haha. Lung Ruoxue could not help but laugh out loud. Which one of you here isn't a direct descendant of the Ning family? You have the lowest status here. Ning Haolan warned. She's not. She's not part of the Ning family, so what right does she have to be sitting here? Ning Shi'er pointed at Leng Ruoxue and shouted with jealousy. Thanks, fifth young lady. Miss Leng is the elder ancestor's goddaughter, so she has this privilege. So, don't compare yourself to her, you can't win. The third elder spoke earnestly. Even if all of them were to join forces, they would not be as important as Leng Ruoxue in the old grand madam's heart. It was infuriating to compare people. There was no point in being jealous. However, third elder's words had seriously provoked Ning Shi'er. Her eyes were red, her facial features were distorted, and her face was gloomy as she glared at Leng Ruoxue. Then, she ran in Leng Ruoxue's direction. You damned vixen, how dare you frame me? I won't let you off. Ning Shi'er shouted as she ran. However, before she could get close to Leng Ruoxue, she was blocked by a force. In front of Ning Shi'er, there was a barrier formed by a barrier. Whenever she wanted to rush to Leng Ruoxue's side, that damned barrier would block her from entering. She looked at Leng Ruoxue, who was sitting on the other side of the barrier and drinking tea leisurely, and the anger in her heart grew even stronger. After trying a few times, Ning Shi'er still could not break through the barrier. She could only look at Leng Ruoxue with hatred in her eyes. Her sinister gaze made the few elders who were looking at Ning Shi'er feel their blood run cold. Fifth young lady, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You know very well what you've done, so why do you need to be framed by others? Leng Ruoxue's face was full of mockery. I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. You're the ones who framed me. Uncle, they're framing me, quickly arrest them. Ning Shi'er yelled at the top of her lungs. Her state of mind startled Ning Yuan. Ning Yuan was flabbergasted and speechless. He suddenly felt that Ning Shi'er was like a hot potato, a little tricky to deal with. As for the others, they chose to treat Ning Shi'er as air, not even looking at her. Bring the person up. Glancing at Ning Shi'er, Ning Haolan ordered the guards outside the hall. As soon as Ning Haolan finished speaking, someone walked in from outside. It was Ning Wen, who had just escaped death. Ning Wen saluted the substitute family head and the elders, then stood in the middle of the hall. Are you a human or a ghost? When Ning Shi'er saw Ning Wen, her face turned pale and her body trembled slightly. Ning Wen, was it Shi'er who ordered you to steal the forgotten soul in Haolan's name? Seeing Ning Shi'er's expression, even a fool like Ning Yuan could guess that she was feeling guilty. Although Hao Lan had told him what had happened, he still wanted to hear it from Ning Wen himself. Yes, I am. Ning Wen nodded and repeated what he had told Ning Haolan. The elders looked at each other after he finished, but no one spoke. Ning Wen, do you know what crime it is to frame a direct descendant of the family? Ning Yuan asked again after a while. This subordinate knows, everything this subordinate says is true. I hope you can investigate this on behalf of the patriarch. Ning Wen knelt on the ground with a thud and lowered his head in a dispirited manner. Acting clan head. You can also ask Ning Duan about this matter. The soul-forgetting item that Ning Duan used back then was given to him by Ning Shi'er. Ning Haolan suggested. Chapter 1601. I'm not close to you, Wen. Ning Yuan looked at Ning Haolan's confident appearance and felt a mix of emotions in his heart. He nodded slightly and sent a guard to call Ning Duan. After Ning Duan entered the meeting hall, he looked around at the people present. His heart suddenly jumped, but he quickly calmed down because he knew why he had come. After bowing to Ning Yuan and the elders, Ning Duan stood beside Ning Wen. Ning Duan, at the start of the family competition, the soul of oblivion that Ning Shan was injured with was given to you by Ning Shi'er? Ning Yuan asked without any joy or anger. When Ning Duan heard Ning Yuan's words, he was stunned. Although many people in the clan suspected that he was the one who had poisoned Ning Shan with the forgotten soul, he had not managed to gather enough evidence since he had refused to admit it. Therefore, this matter had always been ambiguous. Other than that demon Leng Ruoxue and the young master, this was the first time that someone had directly told him about this matter. He glanced imperceptibly at Ning Haolan, and only relaxed when he saw him giving him a look. Thus, when Fifth Miss gave me the soul forgetfulness, she told me to use it on Ning Shan and Ning Hai when I have the chance. Ning Duan said with his head lowered, not even daring to breathe. Why did Fifth Miss give Ning Shan and Ning Hai, these two collateral relatives, the Wang Hun? An elder asked curiously. This was also something that they could not understand. With Fifth Miss status, she had nothing to do with the two of them who were collateral relatives. Ning Hai and Miss Leng once offended Fifth Miss. Therefore, the poison that was put in Ning Hai and his brother's mouths was also aimed at Miss Leng. Ning Duan gave a simple explanation. What? All the elders were shocked. So there was such a thing. No wonder the fifth young lady would make things difficult for Leng Ruoxue at her welcome banquet. This was much easier to explain. Elders, there's no need to be surprised. Ning Hai and I did have some conflicts with Fifth Miss. Leng Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Following that, she told them what had happened. When the elders heard it, they couldn't help but sigh. Wasn't Miss Wu too narrow-minded? You want to kill him for such a small matter? You're wrong. All of you are ganging up to frame me. All of a sudden, Ning Shi-er's shrill voice reverberated in the meeting hall. She had just snapped back to her senses when she heard Leng Ruoxue's words. However, she only heard the end of the sentence. Even so, it was enough for her to know that she had been reported again. Hearing Ning Shi-er's words, Leng Ruoxue only smiled faintly and didn't say anything else. In front of everyone, it was impossible for Ning Yuan to exonerate his niece, so she was happy to sit by and watch. She, impudent. Is this a place where you can make a ruckus? Ning Yuan's face was stern, and his tone was very displeased. Uncle, how could you just watch as I'm being wronged by them? Ning Xia felt extremely wronged. Her uncle had always doted on her, but now he was not speaking up for her. Ning Wen accused you of using him to steal the Wang Hun, while Ning Duan accused you of using the Wang Hun to harm Haishan and Ning Hai. Now that the evidence is conclusive, what else do you have to say? Ning Yuan sighed and said in disappointment. Uncle, they've wronged me. I've never done such a thing. Ning Shi-er's eyes were filled with tears as she said pitifully. The acting patriarch. Now that the evidence is irrefutable, there's no need to talk nonsense with fifth young lady. The third elder couldn't stand it anymore. He said impatiently, sigh. How could the Ning family have such a young lady? The truth was right in front of her eyes, but she still refused to admit it. She really didn't know who Ning Shi-er's character was like. Ning Yuan nodded and did not give Ning Shi-er any chance to deny it. He then ordered the guards to take the three of them away. The truth was already clear, so there was no need to ask further. Uncle, you can't do this to me, Ning Shi-er's crying voice echoed in the meeting hall. The elders only frowned when they heard this, but no one spoke first, and their eyes all turned to Ning Yuan. Thanks, cough cough. Elders, let's discuss the punishment for the three of them. Ning Yuan coughed a few times before he said. He was well aware that Haolan must had solid evidence to back up his words, so it was impossible for him to plead for mercy on behalf of Shi. Although he was very disappointed in Ning Shi-er, he had been in love with her for so many years. He really couldn't accept the fact that Shi-er had been convicted. However, as the acting family head, he knew what he could do and what he couldn't do. Since he had been chosen by the old ancestor, he still had this bit of self-control. I think Ning Shi-er has committed a terrible crime and is not suitable to live in this world. However, she's a woman after all, and we should make the best use of her. So, I think we can give her some medicine, then find a family to marry her off to. It won't be in vain that the Ning family raised her. One of the elders suggested. The elder who had spoken was Ning Haolan's trusted aide. According to the young master's wishes, he did not want to keep Ning Shi-er in this world. However, he felt that rather than letting Ning Shi-er die, it would be better to let her live. With Ning Shi-er's lofty personality, this would definitely be worse than killing her. As soon as the elder spoke, the meeting hall fell silent. It was so quiet that even the sound of a needle dropping to the ground could be heard clearly. Ning Haolan, on the other hand, pursed his lips and sipped his tea without a word. When Lung Ruoxue saw Ning Haolan's calm expression, she could vaguely guess that he had incited this matter. However, Ning Xiao was not a woman who knew her place. If she caused any trouble after marrying into someone else's family or dragged the Ning family down, it would not be worth it. After a long while, "Does anyone else have a different opinion?" Ning Yuan asked. All the elders were silent. "No one else has any objections?" Ning Yuan repeated. Silence was the only reply. "All right then. Just do as the 10th elder said. But we have to carefully consider the family we're marrying into." Ning Yuan didn't comment, but as long as Ning Xia could stay alive, he wouldn't have hurt her for so long in vain. Didn't the Yao family want to form an alliance with our Ning family through marriage? Ning Xia is just right to go there. Ning Haolan said with a smile. Ning Yuan looked at Ning Haolan with a profound look. He was secretly shocked. He didn't expect that Haolan would actually want to send Ning Xia to the Yao family. In that case, wouldn't Ning Xia become the Ning family's hostage in the Yao family? And this hostage was someone who had made a mistake, so he couldn't do anything to the Ning family. If the Yao family knew that the Ning family had sent such a person over, would they be angry? The answer was a definite yes. Young Master's suggestion is really good. The 10th elder chimed in with a smile. Previously, when the Yao family had sent someone to talk to them about this matter, they had been completely unwilling to pay attention to the Yao family. However, with the presence of Ning Xia, the person who had made a mistake, everything seemed to have become logical. This is a good idea. Another elder chimed in. After that, some elders began to agree with him one after another. After hearing their words, Ning Yuan knew that this matter could not be changed. However, he still wanted to remind the elders who were sitting. Chapter 1602. I'm not close to you too. Young Master, Miss Lung, elders, if we really marry Ning Xia over, then I'm afraid Ning Xia will be controlled by the Yao family. Have you thought about the consequences? Ning Yuan asked calmly. Acting family head, Ning Xia is a member of the family who has made a mistake. Furthermore, she framed the young master and murdered a member of the family. Even if she doesn't marry into the Yao family, I'm afraid she won't be able to survive such a serious crime. However, she must die a worthy death. It's time for her to return the favor. He had never liked Ning Xia, but the young master had not allowed them to make a move, so they could only wait and see. Yes, yes. As soon as the 10th elder finished speaking, all the elders nodded in unison. Seeing this, Ning Yuan knew that they had made up their minds. He heaved a long sigh of relief and did not dwell on this matter. How will Ning Wen and Ning Duan be punished? Ning Yuan didn't want to ask about Ning Xia's matter anymore, so he changed the topic. Although Ning Wen was threatened, a mistake is a mistake. He should be sent to Bian City. As for Ning Duan, he will also be sent to Bianqing. Ning Haolan said indifferently. That's a good idea, young master. The 10th elder immediately chimed in, and the other elders followed suit, not to be outdone. Lung Ruoxue chuckled inwardly when she saw this. It seemed like Ning Haolan had been planning this for quite some time. Otherwise, how could it have gone so smoothly? These elders, each and every one of them actually all became echo bugs. However, this was also good. At least it saved them a lot of trouble. Then it's decided. Tomorrow, send Ning Wen and Ning Duan to Bianqing. As for Ning Xia, send them off as well. As long as Ning Xia was still alive, he didn't want to see her anymore. The elders had no objections to this decision. After the discussion, Lung Ruoxue followed Ning Haolan back to Lan Garden. Lung Ruoxue sipped her tea calmly as she sat in the pavilion in Lan Garden. She sized up Ning Haolan, and her gaze made him feel uneasy. Why are you looking at me like that? Ning Haolan could not help but ask. You didn't take the chance to kill Ning Xia. I thought you hated her. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Of course I hate her, but Uncle has always doted on her. Uncle doesn't want her to die, so I have to give him some face. As for how long she can live, it's not up to me to decide. However, she will definitely be drugged before she gets married. There's no doubt about that. Ning Haolan said with confidence. What medicine? Lung Ruoxue was very curious. Soul forgetting. Ning Haolan uttered the word softly. Does this count as karma? Lung Ruoxue laughed coldly. Ning Xia would never have thought that she would become a fool one day. She had ordered people to cast soul forget on Ning Shan and Ning Hai, but in the end, she couldn't escape from the soul forget. However, she felt that it was a little too little to only cast soul forget on her. She had yet to take revenge for Ning Shan. From the day she was born, her fate was already decided. Ning Haolan said coldly. Lung Ruoxue and Ning Haolan chatted for a while before heading back to the residence. After returning to her own residence, she handed the little one over to Grape and gave her some instructions before going to sleep. When she came out of the room, it was night. Just as she reached the courtyard, she saw second elder sweeping the courtyard with a broom. Lung Ruoxue could not help but laugh when she saw this. Ha! The way the second elder was holding a broom was too funny. He didn't expect him to use a broom to sweep the yard. Didn't he know that using skills would be faster? Among the skills that she had learned, there was a very useless spirit skill called the cleaning skill. Moreover, this cleaning skill was a spirit skill that was used by all elements. Not to mention that it was a low-level skill, it didn't have much use. However, it was not bad to use it to wash things and sweep the yard. However, her intuition told her that second elder was a person of high status and had a short memory. He would not have thought of such a low-level spirit skill. Thanks, the truth was similar to Lung Ruoxue's guess. Second elder, who had been depressed and working the entire day, only wanted to finish his work as soon as possible. How could he have thought of so much? What's more, over the years, there were only a few godly skills that he had used. As for spirit skills, he had long forgotten them. With his current state of mind, he could not remember them. Besides, Grape had given him the broom, so he subconsciously decided that he had to use a broom to sweep the yard. He could only blame himself for not paying attention to such trivial matters. Otherwise, he would not have been trapped by a broom. The second elder scanned the room from time to time. When he saw Lung Ruoxue, he turned his head away and avoided her gaze arrogantly. He could clearly feel that Lung Ruoxue was mocking him. Second elder, how much work do you have to finish? Lung Ruoxue smiled as she sat on the stone chair and asked. The second elder left her with his back. At this moment, the grapes and lotus seeds happened to be serving the dishes that had just been prepared. The fragrance of the dishes drifted into the second elder's nose, immediately attracting his appetite. Let's eat. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. Good. Miss, I'll go get Ning Bo. After saying that, Grape left. After a while, she and Ning Bo came back together. The four of them sat on chairs. The second elder, who was sweeping the courtyard, saw this scene and stood in the courtyard with a broom, staring helplessly. These people were really too much. It was fine if they didn't let him eat, but they still wanted to eat it in front of him. Weren't they craving him? This was preposterous. Second elder, you can leave first. We'll continue to sweep the yard after we're done eating. Grape said. Oh. The second elder acknowledged softly and walked to a corner with his head drooped. However, his resentful eyes were still fixed on Lung Ruoxue and the other three. The restless Ning Bo peeked at the second elder from the corner of his eyes. He felt weak and whispered to Lung Ruoxue, Miss, are we just going to let the second elder watch us eat? What's wrong? Lung Ruoxue raised her eyebrows. Aren't we going a little too far? Ning Bo asked shamelessly. I want tea. It's not the first time he's seen it, he'll get used to it. Lung Ruoxue did not agree, but Ning Bo broke out in a cold sweat. And their soft conversation naturally couldn't win against the Reverend God's second elder. The second elder's face was flushed red. He was so angry that his cheeks were puffed up. With a flick of his sleeves, he left Lung Ruoxue's courtyard in a huff. The second elder didn't come back until late at night. The next day, when Grape saw the second elder, she told him very directly, Second elder, you didn't finish your work yesterday, so you won't have any food today. The second elder looked up at Grape and went to work without saying anything. Chapter 1603. I'm not close to you. 3. Seeing the second elder's diligent appearance, Grape was a little uncomfortable. Was this the second elder? It couldn't have been switched by someone, right? The second elder worked very hard in the morning. When it was close to noon, he went to line up again to get vegetables. This time, when everyone present saw him, they all took the initiative to give up their positions to him. Unfortunately, he did not appreciate it at all and even scolded those people who flattered him. After that, those people all went to their respective masters to cry and complain, and the impression of the second elder's bad temper was rooted in their hearts. At the same time, the Ning family sent Ning Wen, Ning Duan, and Ning Xia away. However, only Ning Xia had been fed with the soul forgetfulness. When Leng Ruoxue saw Ning Xia was still smiling at her foolishly. After that, she followed Ning Haolan's men without making any noise. The culprit, Ning Xia, was definitely not coming back. As for Ning Duan and Ning Wen, it would all be up to Ning Haolan. Although one of them had helped Ning Xia steal the medicine, and the other had helped Ning Xia drug her, they were just two small fries in her eyes. They were not worth her effort at all. Besides, Ning Haolan was still around. How could he let off people who had betrayed him so easily? No matter how many difficulties that person had, it was not a reason for betrayal. After Ning Xia's matter was settled, Leng Ruoxue returned to her own residence. When Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian went to look for her, they happened to see her lying listlessly on a recliner, sunbathing. In the garden, Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian sat opposite Leng Ruoxue. "Great aunt, you really know how to enjoy yourself," Cheng Xian said with an envious look. Leng Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Cheng Xian, but she did not say anything. "Great aunt, what's wrong with you? Why are you so listless? Who made you angry? Tell me and I'll help you deal with him," Cheng Xian said, taking on all the responsibility. "I was thinking about the challenge Ning Xia gave me." Leng Ruoxue sighed. "Didn't she leave the Ning family for the Yao family's domain?" Cheng Xian asked in a daze. "Our challenge has a stake, AI. What a pity." Leng Ruoxue's face was filled with regret. "Great aunt, you're not as strong as her, so even if you put a bet, you might not be able to win. So, you should be glad that you kept your bet," Cheng Xian said as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He never thought that Leng Ruoxue would be depressed because of those prizes. One should know that she might not be able to obtain those things. "Little Xian, how can you boost other people's morale and destroy my prestige?" Leng Ruoxue was a little unhappy and did not show Cheng Xian a good face. "Great aunt, I'm doing this for your own good. You have to understand my heart." Cheng Xian's handsome face was full of grievances. Leng Ruoxue rolled her eyes at him again and did not comment on Cheng Xian's words. At this moment, Grape came to report. "Miss, young masters, the master of the Ning family has invited you." Grape smiled and said very politely. Leng Ruoxue and the other two looked at each other, then headed to Master Ning's residence together. As soon as they entered Master Ning's courtyard, they heard a burst of hearty laughter. Leng Ruoxue had never heard this before. However, when Cheng Xian heard this voice, he turned around and wanted to leave. "Damn brat! Where do you think you're going?" Suddenly, a deafening roar reverberated in the ears of the three of them. Immediately after, a tall middle-aged man descended from the sky and blocked Cheng Xian's path. The man was in his early 40s. He had handsome facial features and sharp eyes. He had a reserved temperament and was extraordinary in strength. According to Leng Ruoxue's observation, this half-grown old man's strength was above the great elders and was also a reverend god-level expert. Moreover, he seemed to have a close relationship with Cheng Xian. "Ancestor!" Cheng Xian called out unwillingly, but his eyes drifted over to Ning Haolan, his gaze asking, "How did the old ancestor know I was here?" Ning Haolan returned his gaze with an innocent look, with the words "I don't know" either written in the depths of his eyes. "You little brat. You still remember me, your ancestor?" The middle-aged man, who was also the head of the Cheng clan, said unhappily. In his heart, he was cursing Cheng Xian with dog blood. That damned brat, he actually ran away from home like others. "Did you really think I couldn't find you? I can forget anyone, but I don't dare to forget our ancestor." Cheng Xian smiled and tried to please him. "Oh really?" However, I heard that you were having so much fun that you didn't even want to go home. What's more, you even created a scandal for me. You've completely disgraced our Cheng family. The head of the Cheng family shouted at the top of his lungs. Lung Ruoxue looked at his energetic appearance and could not help but sigh. As expected of a reverent god. His aura was strong, but what was the scandal he was talking about? Her curiosity was piqued. Thanks, what scandal? Cheng Xian's face was also full of question marks. He blinked his bright black eyes and asked shamelessly. Of course it's yours and how honest. The head of the Cheng clan gritted his teeth and roared in exasperation. Arg! It can't be! Cheng Xian's expression changed drastically while Ning Haolan's face darkened. Lung Ruoxue's eyes were sparkling with anticipation. There's gossip. Old ancestor Cheng, did you misunderstand? How could there be a scandal between me and Cheng Xian? Ning Haolan was utterly confused. Ancestor, this is impossible. Cheng Xian was dumbfounded. Do you think I would lie to you two juniors? The master of the Cheng family scowled. It was very depressing to be doubted by others. Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian looked at each other, speechless. Of course, they did not doubt that the divine reverend would lie to them about such a thing, but this was too suspicious. Little girl, tell me, do you think I would lie to them? Seeing that his two grandsons did not believe him, the master of the Cheng clan shifted the topic to Lung Ruoxue. This girl must be old man Ning's goddaughter. She's indeed an absolute beauty. Her face and temperament are all top-notch. It's just that her cultivation is a little low. However, cultivation can be cultivated, so this isn't a big problem, the head of the Cheng clan thought to himself after sizing up Lung Ruoxue from head to toe. Lung Ruoxue hesitated. How was she supposed to say this? She wasn't familiar with this half-grown old man. Little girl, I heard from old man Ning that you're a straightforward person. Why are you hemming and hawing? The head of the Cheng clan said with some dissatisfaction. I don't know you well. That's why I can't answer your question. Lung Ruoxue thought for a while and said helplessly. Ah. The head of the Cheng clan looked at Lung Ruoxue, dumbfounded. He thought to himself, isn't this girl a little too honest? If it was someone else, they would have stuck to him if they had the opportunity to echo him. Why would they be like her? For a time, a strong sense of defeat emerged in his heart. Ha ha. Ha ha. Following that, two laughter rang out, and two more figures appeared in front of them. Old man Cheng, I've told you that your identity is useless to Schwer. The master of the Ning family laughed arrogantly and proudly. You're beautiful, my ass. The head of the Cheng family was burning with anger as he roared in a bad mood, his face completely red. I have the capital to be beautiful. You can't be jealous. The master of the Ning family said with a smile, his expression becoming more and more smug, making the master of the Cheng family so angry that he blew at his beard and glared, stomping his feet. Godfather! Great elder! At this moment, Lung Ruoxue called out sweetly. Be good. Schwer. This old man is the ancestor of the Cheng family. Quickly ask for a meeting gift from him. He has a lot of good things. The master of the Ning family started to rob them rudely, and he kept giving Lung Ruoxue meaningful looks. Greetings, Patriarch Cheng. Lung Ruoxue understood and greeted him with a smile. Damn old man. Just you wait. Master Cheng glared at Master Ning, then painfully handed Lung Ruoxue a dark red storage ring and said, Little girl, I'll give you all the things inside. Lung Ruoxue did not expect the Cheng clan's head to be so generous. She took the ring and used her divine sense to take a look. It was only then that she realized that it was filled with medicinal herbs, and many of them were extremely precious. She immediately understood that the Cheng clan's head had clearly made preparations. He even pretended to be very unwilling. What a hypocrite! Lung Ruoxue defined Master Cheng as a hypocrite. However, she had really wronged Old Man Cheng. Although this meeting gift had been prepared by Old Man Cheng a long time ago and was rather sincere, it was two different things for her to give it to him first and Old Man Ning. That was why he did not give Master Ning a good look. In addition, he acted like he was in pain to leave a deep impression on Lung Ruoxue. who asked him to know that Lung Ruoxue was an alchemist. She was also the goddaughter of Old Man Ning, so the head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters also valued her. In this way, Lung Ruoxue's value would increase by many times, and he had no choice but to value her. "Thank you, Qing clan head." Lung Ruoxue replied courteously. Her beautiful face didn't have an overjoyed expression. Upon seeing this, the Qing clan's patriarch silently praised her in his heart. He didn't expect this little girl to be so calm. This was truly rare. If it was anyone else who received such a gift, they definitely wouldn't be as calm as her. It was as if they had received an ordinary item. Furthermore, from Lung Ruoxue's expression, it didn't seem like she was pretending to be calm. In fact, the value of his meeting gift was not low. Many of the precious herbs in it were hard to buy even with 1,000 gold, and he gave this generous gift not only because of the relationship between the master of the Ning family and the head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild, but also to test the waters. Chapter 1604, The Jealous Master Ning 1. He and Old Man Ning had a mutual understanding and had always planned to marry each other. However, their standards were too high, and there had never been anyone among their juniors that the other party was satisfied with. As a result, the two old men had been picking and choosing, and Ning Haolan and Qing Xian's marriage had been delayed. He had heard from home that Old Man Ning had acknowledged a goddaughter and doted on her greatly. In addition, that brat Qing Xian had run to the Ning family to avoid his marriage, so he had come to visit the Ning family. He had killed 2 birds with 1 stone while he was at it, seeing Old Man Ning's goddaughter and his unfilial grandson. After seeing Lung Ruoxue, he was extremely satisfied. He didn't expect Old Man Ning to have such good taste. However, this little girl didn't seem easy to deal with. Thinking of this, he sneaked a glance at Qing Xian. When he saw Qing Xian's careful and vigilant look, he suddenly felt irritated. This brat only knew how to make him angry all day long. However, he had a weakness, and that was that he did not like to get married. As long as someone in the family suggested for him to get married and have children, it was like taking his life. In his words, it was good to be free and unfettered, and he did not want to find a burden. As his chosen successor, not only did he have high hopes for Qing Xian, but he also doted on him. If Qing Xian really did not want to get married, he would not force him. However, this brat liked to make him angry too much. As long as he was angry, he would make a fuss about his marriage. Once he did so, Qing Xian would run away from home. Over time, the two of them had a tacit understanding. He could tolerate Qing Xian being surrounded by flowers without a single leaf touching him, and he could tolerate him not wanting to get married, but he couldn't tolerate Qing Xian creating a gay scandal for him. So, as soon as he heard the news, he rushed over without stopping, afraid that it would come true. What was even more infuriating was that when he very seriously told the news to Old Man Ning and the chief elder of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters, the two of them almost laughed out loud. He was really angry. However, now that he had seen Lung Ruoxue, he had other thoughts. The head of the Qing family dragged Qing Xian with one hand and Lung Ruoxue with the other. They walked straight into the garden of the main courtyard. Behind him, Master Ning and the great elder looked at each other, smiled, and walked in together. After sitting down in the pavilion in the garden, Master Qing sized Lung Ruoxue up. After a long while, like a big bad wolf who had kidnapped a little white rabbit, he said with a kind face, "Little girl, I like you very much. How about I bring you to our Qing family to play when we have time?" "Thank you for your kind intentions, Qing family head. I'll definitely go as long as I have time." Lung Ruoxue glanced at her godfather. Even though she didn't know what this old man was up to, since the Qing family head was godfather's friend, he had to give him some face. "Then why don't you come with me today?" the Qing clan's patriarch said happily. "Ah." Lung Ruoxue was a little dumbfounded. What was going on? The head of the Qing family was a man of action. It was rare for him to be so anxious to invite someone to his house as a guest. However, she could not go now. "Old man Qing, are you here to steal my woman?" When Master Ning heard Master Cheng's words, his face darkened with anger and he said unhappily, "How can I?" I'm really sincere in wanting to entertain your precious goddaughter. You have to understand my painstaking efforts. The head of the Chung clan felt very wronged and even kicked Cheng Xian in the dark. However, Cheng Xian did not understand his ancestor's meaning, so he did not go along with his words. Thanks seeing this, the head of the Chung family was even angrier. He kept cursing in his heart. This little brat, how could he be so blind? Thank you, Master Chung, but I can't go to the Chung family right now. I've already decided to return to the godly mainland after the Ning family's competition. Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. However, her words were like a bomb, blasting Master Ning's mind into a blank. The master of the Ning family was like an abandoned wife. He looked at Lung Ruoxue with extreme resentment and said in a choked voice, Shui is going to abandon her godfather. Woo! Why is my life so hard? AI. Shui, I wonder when I'll see you again after you return to the divine mainland. The first elder also had a sad look on his face, and tears could be seen in his shrewd eyes. When Lung Ruoxue saw how well they sang, her forehead was filled with black lines. She thought to herself, Godfather, first elder, do you guys have to be so exaggerated? It wasn't like she was going to leave and never come back, so why did it seem like they were going to part forever? Those who didn't know would think that something big had happened. Woo-woo, seeing that Lung Ruoxue didn't have much of a reaction, Master Ning and First Elder actually hugged each other and cried. Everyone was dumbfounded. Among them, the Chung clan head felt the most guilty. If he had not suggested for Lung Ruoxue to visit his clan, she would not have said that she wanted to return to the divine mainland. How could this be good? Godfather, Great Elder, don't be so exaggerated. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. To Godfather and Great Elder, traveling between the divine world and the divine continent was a small matter. Now, these two people had to do this. What was their purpose? Shui, have you really decided to go back after the competition? The master of the Ning family couldn't help but ask, but in his heart he was thinking, should we postpone the family competition indefinitely? Yes, Godfather. After I return to the divine mainland, I can cultivate in peace and try to meet up with you guys in the divine world as soon as possible. Lung Ruoxue consoled. Actually, she could already feel the barrier to breaking through. However, this was the god world, after all. She was afraid of causing too much of a commotion and things would get out of hand. She also didn't want to reveal her trump card too early, so returning to the god continent to break through was the safest option. However, with her godfather's stubbornness, he probably wouldn't let her leave so easily. Thus, she had already prepared herself for a long battle. When Master Ning heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he knew that she had already made up her mind. However, he just couldn't bear to part with her. He had been cultivating for no years. If Shui really went into seclusion, he didn't know when she would come out. What if he missed her? Seeing her godfather's conflicted look, Lung Ruoxue knew that she couldn't push him too far. Hence, she changed the topic. Godfather, shouldn't we properly receive the Chung clan head's esteemed guest? Lung Ruoxue suggested with a smile. Right. You should treat me well. The head of the Chung family was overjoyed to hear this. He was finally valued. It really wasn't easy. Daughters were still the best. A daughter was a father's intimate little cotton jacket. At this moment, his gaze towards Lung Ruoxue was even more fiery. What was the reason? Because he had come to the Ning family many times, but he had never been given any attention. Every time the old man of the Ning family saw him, he looked as if he was not welcome, as if he was a poor relative who came to ask for money. So, as long as he thought of this, his face would be covered in tears. It was so miserable. Even so, the treatment he received from Old Man Ning was considered good. At least every time he came, although Old Man Ning had a straight face and did not give him any special treatment, at least he did not have to worry about food and drink. Compared to that old thing of the Yao family, he was content. It should be known that if it was that old man of the Yao family who came to visit, he would have to pay for his food and drink. Chapter 1605, The Jealous Master Ning, 2, Entertain My Ass. Shui, you don't know how expensive rice is. Our Ning family is almost out of food, how can we have the money to entertain him? Well, just eat whatever we have. Seeing the anticipation on the Chung family's old man's face, Master Ning poured a bucket of cold water directly on the Chung family's head, drenching the Chung family's master's heart. Her godfather's words made Lung Ruoxue break out in a cold sweat. She couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat off her forehead. She thought to herself, Godfather and clan head Ching don't look like they have any enmity. How could she treat him like this? She was extremely puzzled. As if he could read Lung Ruoxue's mind, First Elder secretly transmitted a message to Lung Ruoxue. Shwe, Old Man Ning is famous for being stingy among us old friends. Except for my treatment, the others' treatment. So, you'll find out soon enough. By the way, when the head of the Yao family comes to visit the Ning family, he'll pay for his own food and lodging. The Wen family is even worse off. Don't be fooled by their in-laws with the Ning family. If they stay in the Ning family, it'll be more expensive than the most expensive suite in the best inn. I see. Lung Ruoxue understood, but she was more speechless than ever. However, since her godfather had such a characteristic as his goddaughter, it wouldn't be good for her to undermine him. So, she pretended to be deaf and dumb. In any case, the head of the Chung clan should be used to it. Lung Ruoxue stopped talking. She sipped her tea while looking into the distance, making it impossible for others to know what she was thinking. Seeing this, the master of the Ning family was also quite upset. He knew that Shwe was homesick. Old Man Ning, can't you be generous for once? Seeing that the atmosphere was a little gloomy, the head of the Chung family said angrily. Sure. However, you have to pay for half of the meal. Master Ning thought he was very generous. The head of the Chung family was so angry that he stopped. I'll go hunting on my own in the mountains. Which mountain do you want to go hunting on? The mountains in the Ning family's divine domain all belong to the Ning family, and the prey there is no exception. The master of the Ning family said angrily. You want me to pay for the hunting? The head of the Chung clan was so angry that his chest was heaving up and down, and his old face was flushed red. That's right. You're very smart. The Ning family's master said happily. Bickering with the Chung family's old man had greatly reduced his sadness from Shwe-er's departure, so of course, he would not let this old man go. The one surnamed Ning. I've finally seen through you today. The head of the Chung family was burning with anger. You've only seen me clearly today. I thought you'd already seen through me. However, it's not too late now. The master of the Ning family grumbled. Listening to their conversation, Ning Haolan and Qing Xian's foreheads involuntarily rolled with black lines. The two of them had the same thought in their hearts, these two old men were too embarrassing. However, from their conversation, Lung Ruoxue recalled her future. Although she was ready to return to the divine mainland, she wouldn't be able to stay there for long. One day, she would come to the divine world to live, but she didn't have a place to live in the divine world. She couldn't wait until the day she came and still live in the Ning family's divine realm. Now that she was living here without any burden, the Ning family didn't dare to say anything because in the eyes of many of the Ning family, she was just a guest who would leave one day. So, even if they were dissatisfied, they didn't dare to show her any attitude. Thanks, however, once she became a deity, she would be able to live in the divine realm. If she came to the Ning family at that time, not to mention whether the Ning family would welcome her, she would inevitably feel like she was living under someone else's roof. Therefore, unless she had no other choice, she was not willing to live in someone else's house. Therefore, finding a fixed territory had become her top priority, which could be put on the agenda. However, the matter of finding a territory could not be rushed. Although the divine realm was huge, there were many clans in the divine realm. Many decent places were almost all occupied, while the ownerless lands were either remote or dangerous. None of them could be considered an ideal place. Not only that, if she wanted to find territory, she could only start from ownerless land. Because in the immortal realm, relying on strength to snatch other people's territory would be seen as a public enemy. Of course, if other people were willing to submit, it would be a different matter. A land without an owner in the divine realm? Which one should I choose? Lung Ruox's thoughts slowly drifted. She only came back to her senses when she felt someone gently pushing her. The person who pushed her was the first elder. Shuer, what are you thinking? You're so lost in your thoughts. The grand elder asked worriedly. I'm thinking about the territory. Lung Ruoxue said with an embarrassed smile. Territory? It's time to think about the territory. The great elder nodded. With Shuer's level of freakishness, she would probably come to the immortal realm soon. If she didn't have a place to stay at that time, it would be quite a waste. What's there to think about territory? Just come and live here. Master Ning glared at Lung Ruoxue. Godfather, I have quite a few subordinates, and I can't possibly have all of them come to the Ning residence. Lung Ruoxue could not help but ask. What's wrong? The Ning family's territory is huge. Your people are nothing. The master of the Ning family said disapprovingly. Godfather, my subordinates are used to being wild. I'm afraid it's not convenient to live here. Lung Ruoxue said, feeling a little troubled. If they really stayed here, her subordinates could only stay in their own courtyard forever if they did not want to have any conflicts with the Ning family. But was that possible? Why would it be inconvenient? Shuer, don't worry. With me around, no one will dare to show them any disrespect. The master of the Ning family knew Lung Ruox's personality, so he promised. Godfather, I appreciate your kindness, but as the saying goes, a golden or silver nest is not as good as one's own doghouse. So, in order to let my grandpas live happily and my subordinates live carefreely, I think I should have a territory. Besides, I also have several families attached to me in Haotian continent. When they come to the divine realm, they can't live in the Ning family together, can they? And our Lung family has many clansmen on the Haotian continent. Lung Ruoxue said in a reserved manner. When Master Ning heard Lung Ruox's words, he frowned and fell into deep thought. Although he knew that what Shuer said made sense, he just couldn't get over it, so he kept a straight face and didn't say anything. Old man Ning, I understand how you feel, but Shuer is right. It's not convenient to live in the Ning family's main residence, so don't force me. First elder advised. It is. It's not like Shuer doesn't have a family. How can she live with your Ning family? Those who didn't know would think that Shuer's family was a subsidiary family of your Ning family. Thus, how could they possibly have a high status in the divine realm? The master of the Chung clan also advised. If it wasn't for the fact that his clan's strength was too weak, it was likely that no clan would be willing to become another clan's subsidiary clan. Because in the divine realm, the subsidiary clan was equivalent to a servant in the eyes of the master clan. Even if they were servants, how could they receive the respect of others? Therefore, he didn't believe that old man Ning would bear to let his precious goddaughter be ill. Chapter 1606, The Jealous Master Ning 3. Are you the only ones who know how to be good people? I've become the one making things difficult. Hearing the words of the great elder and the master of the Chung family, the master of the Ning family was even more furious. After being criticized by these two old men, he became the bad guy instead. Just thinking about it made him angry. After he finished speaking, he flicked his sleeves and turned to leave angrily. Godfather. Seeing that her godfather had left in a fit of anger, Lung Ruoxue was both angry and amused. Shuer, you don't need to bother with him. That old man just needs a beating. Just leave him hanging for a few days. The head of the Chung clan said with a smile. He's shy. The first elder agreed with Master Cheng, so he didn't feel much about Master Ning's departure. Shuer, I heard that your cooking skills are not bad. I'll have to rely on you to satisfy my craving tonight. The head of the Chung clan said with a face full of anticipation. Now, he discovered that it was very good that old man Ning wasn't here to cause trouble. Hee. I hope that old man won't be so thick-skinned as to come back by himself, he thought to himself wickedly. Good. I definitely won't let clan head Ching down. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Little girl Shuer, you see, we're already so familiar with each other, and I'm also calling you little girl Shuer. Why are you still calling me family head Ching? The Cheng clan's clan head said with some dissatisfaction and spared no effort to get closer to Lung Ruoxue. Then what should I call you? Lung Ruoxue asked helplessly. She thought to herself, we're not that close, right? It was all because this old man was very familiar with her. Moreover, she was also in a difficult position. This old man and godfather were of the same generation, so she couldn't simply call him that. Just call me uncle, I'm younger than old man Ning. The head of the Cheng clan said with a smile. He was very satisfied with Lung Ruoxue's understanding. Then I'll call you Uncle Cheng. Lung Ruoxue said. Since they had already said so much, she had to give face to the Cheng clan head. Good girl. The head of the Cheng family was overjoyed, but he couldn't help but think that he would call him uncle for the time being and change it in the future. Seeing how warm and friendly his old grandmadam was towards Lung Ruoxue, Cheng Xian was dumbfounded. Uncle? Did he have an elder now? Previously he had called Lung Ruoxue great-aunt for fun. But now? What should he call Lung Ruoxue? Uncle Cheng. He'll go back and prepare something. He'll send someone to invite you to dinner. Lung Ruoxue was very polite. After she finished speaking, she bowed to the Cheng clan head and first elder before turning to leave. Looking at Lung Ruoxue's back, the head of the Cheng clan couldn't help but sigh. Ai. It's good to have a daughter. The great elder looked at the patriarch of the Cheng clan as if he were a monster and calmly reminded him, Old man Cheng, your daughters are no less than old man Ning's. What's the use of having more? None of them were considerate. He was always scheming to get more benefits, and this stinky brat was also troublesome. You only know how to make me angry every day. The head of the Cheng clan glared at Cheng Xian and roared in anger. Ancestor! Cheng Xian felt very wronged. So, he had been shot while lying down. He had suffered an undeserved disaster for no reason, all because of the jealousy of the old ancestor. You're wronged, my ass. Patting Cheng Xian's head, the head of the Cheng family also left in a huff, leaving the three dumbfounded people behind. After Lung Ruoxue returned to her residence, she instructed Grape and Lotus Seed to prepare dinner. She even gave them a menu for dinner and asked them to cook according to the dishes on it. Looking at the menu in their hands, large beads of sweat dripped from the foreheads of the Grapes and Lotus Seeds. Oh my God! Why are there so many? Can you eat it? Miss, are you eating these tonight? Grape could not help but ask. I'll treat Uncle Cheng to dinner tonight, so I have to make more. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Uncle Cheng? What Uncle Cheng? Grape's eyes widened, and her beautiful little face was full of question marks. She and Lotus Seed had not followed Master Ning to his residence, so they did not know who the Uncle Cheng their miss was talking about was. The clan head of the Cheng clan. Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Arg, the head of the Cheng family? The Cheng clan's old ancestor? Grape confirmed. Are there many heads of the Cheng family? Lung Ruoxue was puzzled. Thanks, not much. Not much. It's just that the acting clan heads of the great clans are sometimes addressed as clan heads. Grape quickly said. Oh. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Miss, it's very difficult to serve the Cheng family's ancestor. We don't know his taste, and if he's not satisfied with the dishes, won't we annoy him? Grape was very worried, her palm-sized face was scrunched up. In fact, she had never cooked for her ancestors before, so she was very nervous. She was afraid that her provocative ancestors would not like the dishes she made and affect her miss. I want tea. Don't worry, just cook according to your usual standards. Besides, there are so many dishes that the two of you won't be able to finish. They'll cook with you. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. Arg, that's good. Hearing that Lung Ruoxue would also cook, Grape was relieved. However, on second thought, she pouted her little mouth again. Miss, you're so bad, why didn't you tell us before? We were worried for nothing. Ha! If I had told you earlier, I wouldn't have been able to see your conflicted expressions. Lung Ruoxue replied matter-of-factly, but she did it on purpose. Miss. Grape's resentful eyes floated over, feeling wronged. Grape, go to the kitchen and prepare the dishes first. All right, ask the second elder to take some food. Just say that we don't have enough food to entertain the head of the Chung family tonight. Lung Ruoxue ignored Grape's resentful gaze and ordered calmly. N. Grape nodded and left with Lotus. After they left, Lung Ruoxue gave it some thought and got Qingju to prepare some dishes that were not available in the God world. She also caught a few silver snowfish and stored them all in an empty storage ring. Following that, she walked towards the kitchen. Lung Ruoxue, Grape, Lotus Seed, and Ningbo, who had rushed over to help, were busy for the entire afternoon. When the dishes were almost ready, Lung Ruoxue instructed the second elder to invite someone over. As soon as Master Cheng, Grand Elder, and Master Ning, who still had a dark expression, entered the courtyard, they smelled the aroma of food. It smells so good. I'm in for a treat. The head of the Chung clan was so happy that his face was almost blooming with a smile. At their age and cultivation, there were fewer and fewer things to pursue. The only thing that could move them was food. Umph. The master of the Ning family snorted, flicked his sleeves, and walked straight to the dining room alone. This old thing is still angry. The head of the Chung clan said with a happy smile. Cheng clan head, second elder, please come in. The second elder, who was accompanying them, wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. His heart was pounding. She was jumping around, her heart was extremely nervous, but she still had to smile. So, why is the master angry? He was very sure that he had not provoked the master these few days, but the master had also given him a bad look. This was taking his anger out on them. Definitely. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Who was he taking the blame for? In fact, what he didn't know was that the master of the Ning family was indeed angry, and he was angry for the whole afternoon. However, this anger was more of jealousy. He was jealous of the Chung family's old man who was warmly received by Shui. If he had known this would happen, he would not have let that damned old man enter his Ning family. After walking for a while, the master of the Ning family was also exhausted. Originally, when the second elder invited him, he didn't want to come in a fit of anger, but he didn't want to let that damn old man of the Chung family benefit, so he came. As long as he was here, that old man would not be able to enjoy this meal. After entering the dining room and sitting in the main seat, Master Ning was still indignantly thinking that he must make this old thing from the Chung family come in high spirits and leave in disappointment. When he saw the dishes being served one by one, the master of the Ning family didn't give way to anyone. He directly gobbled up the food. Seeing his appearance, the great elder didn't hold back. As the two of them ate the wind and cloud remnants, the master of the Chung family, who was familiar with their habits, also began to gobble up the food. The three old men were extremely protective of their food. Furthermore, while they were eating, they looked at the food on the plate. The three of them formed their own territory, filled with the dishes that they had snatched from them. They ate with their mouths, but their eyes were still fixed on the food, afraid that it would be snatched away. When Cheng Xian and Ning Haolan arrived to freeload, this was the scene they saw. Their eyes widened and their mouths were half open, their faces filled with disbelief. The way they ate and the way they did it was too unsightly. Don't tell them that you know these three people. Two of them were their ancestors. Now, they were very glad that they were at home. If they were to eat this way outside, they were afraid that the Ning family, Qing family, and the Armament Guild headquarters would lose all their face. Lung Ruoxue, Grape, and Lotus Seed carried the last dish into the dining room and similarly saw the mess on the dining table. There were three half-grown old men who did not care about their image and were gobbling down the food. Black lines immediately rolled down from their foreheads. This way of eating, those who didn't know would definitely think that they had been hungry for hundreds of years. Did it have to be so exaggerated? Lung Ruoxue was having a headache. Chapter 1607, The Ninth Young Mistress, 1. At this time, the master of the Ning family suddenly raised his head and saw Grape and Lotus who were carrying a dish. In a flash, he snatched the dish from Grape's hand, and the other dish in Lotus' hand was snatched away by the great elder. Not being able to snatch it, the Chung clan head peeked at Lung Ruoxue with an aggrieved expression. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue could only look up at the roof and ignore the Chung clan head's gaze. Little girl Xue. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue had treated him like air, the master of the Chung family was full of remorse. Uncle Cheng, you guys eat slowly. We won't disturb your 3 old friends' reunion. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. After she finished speaking, she gave Grape and Lotus a look, and the 3 of them quickly left the dining room. Ning Haolan and Qing Xian looked at each other, then followed. These 3 old men were too embarrassing, it was better to keep out of sight. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, the head of the Chung family had no choice but to snatch the great elder's food himself. Who asked the great elder's strength to be inferior to his? He had the will but not the strength to deal with old man Ning. He couldn't even snatch it. Not long after Lung Ruoxue and the rest walked out of the dining hall, they did not hear First Elder's angry roar. The one surnamed Cheng. You dare to snatch my vegetables. I'm not done with you. Lung Ruoxue shook her head helplessly. Then, she sat down on a stone chair in the courtyard. Great aunt. We haven't eaten it yet. Cheng Xian walked over pitifully, a cunning glint flashing across his clear, watery eyes. There's no more food. Grape, who was beside him, said. Then what do we do? Cheng Xian's face was bitter. Then I won't eat it. Lung Ruoxue tried to hold back her laughter. Isn't this a shark man? Cheng Xian complained. What can we do? We've done so much, but it's all eaten up by those 3 old men. Unless you go to the tiger's mouth and snatch the food. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. I don't have the guts to do that. My family's old ancestor would be willing to sell me for delicious food. Cheng Xian said with a face full of fear. It turns out that the young master of the Chung family is so worthless. Lung Ruoxue sighed. Who said it wasn't he? I. Cheng Xian felt very wronged and even sighed heavily. Lung Ruoxue smiled and looked at Qing Xian sympathetically. She did not express any opinion, but took out a map of the God world to take a look. Seeing this, Grape and Lotus Seed were puzzled. Why did the young miss take a fancy to the map? Your lady wants to choose a territory. Ning Haolan said. Arg. It's true. That's great. Grape was overjoyed. Don't be happy too early, things haven't even started. Lung Ruoxue poured cold water over the grapes. There'll be one. Grape said with a happy face. Miss. All the decent places in the divine realm already have owners. As for those ownerless lands, many of them are not suitable to be territories. Lotus Seed was a little worried. It wasn't easy to find this territory. It was inconvenient to find a remote place, but it was dangerous to find a remote place. Well, look for one slowly, and there'll be someone suitable. Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Although the matter of the territory had been brought up to the agenda, it was not possible to find a suitable place in a day. Therefore, he couldn't be anxious. Thanks, I think we can consider this. Qing Xian pointed at a red area and suggested. What? Lung Ruoxue looked at the area that Qing Xian was pointing at. It was marked in red on the map, indicating that it was a land without an owner. However, the map did not have the name of the place. She was a little puzzled. Was Qing Xian trying to play with her? This place is surrounded by mountains on 3 sides and the sea on 1 side. In the middle is a huge deep valley, warm in winter and cool in summer. More importantly, it's a land without an owner. The terrain here is steep, easy to defend and hard to attack. It's the most suitable place for territory. Cheng Xian explained with a smile. I'm afraid this place is also very dangerous, right? If you want to make this your territory, do you need to do a lot of preparation work? Lung Ruoxue understood. That's for sure. However, we can't build a city here. We can only use it as a residence. Cheng Xian reminded him. Then he added, if you want to build a city, you can't choose this place. Actually, it's not that easy to build a city in the divine realm. Therefore, I personally suggest that you find a place to live. If you don't build a city, it'll be very difficult for you to have a high status in the divine realm. Ning Haolan said disapprovingly, then rolled his eyes at Qing Xian. Based on how much his old grandmadam doted on Lung Ruoxue, He did not think that she would allow Lung Ruoxue to choose this place. Great aunt, it's very troublesome to build a city, Qing Xian said. Miss, if we want the family to develop in the long run, we have to build a city no matter how troublesome it is, even if it's just a small city. Grape quickly said, Build a city? Lung Ruoxue mumbled to herself. Speaking of building a city, she couldn't help but think of the Wanshan city on the Haotian continent. That city was built in the mountains. However, she didn't have such a big plan. The immortal realm wasn't the Haotian continent either. She was having a headache. It seemed like things were more troublesome than she had imagined. We have to build a city. Grape said with certainty. We'll talk about the city construction later. Lung Ruoxue decided to put aside the matter of building the city first. After all, she had yet to settle on a territory. Oh right, where did the second elder go? Lung Ruoxue suddenly asked. I don't know. The few of them looked at each other and shook their heads at the same time. Miss, don't worry about him, he won't be lost. Grape said disapprovingly. You guys go find him. I have something to tell him. Lung Ruoxue ordered. Grape and Lotus Seed nodded, then walked out of the courtyard. Not long after, Lotus Seed ran back in a panic. Miss, bad news, Grape has been caught and thrown into prison. Lotus Seed was panting from running, and she shouted anxiously. What did you just say? Lung Ruoxue stood up and said with uncertainty, Oh, she didn't hear it wrong, did she? Miss, Grape has been caught and thrown into jail. Lotus Seed calmed down a little and said with certainty. Explain the matter clearly. Lung Ruoxue's eyes were half squinted, and a cold glint was released from her eyes. Miss, after we left, we went to find the second elder separately. Later, I saw Grape being escorted by the guards and locked in a cell. I wanted to ask about the situation, but those Ning family people obviously didn't want to tell me the truth. They stammered and saw that I couldn't find anything useful, so I had to come back to report to young Miss. Lotus Seed explained. Young Master Ning, they'll have to trouble you to take me to the Ning family's prison. Lung Ruoxue said coldly. All right. Ning Howland's head hurt. Who's the blind one this time? He thought to himself. To dare to provoke this great aunt, wasn't he tired of living? Then, Ning Howland did not dare to waste any more time, afraid that something would happen. He immediately brought Lung Ruoxue and the rest to the Ning family's prison. Chapter 1608, The Ninth Young Mistress, 2. After entering the cell, the guards immediately brought Lung Ruoxue and the others to the cell where Grape was kept. Lung Ruoxue focused her eyes and saw Grape sitting leisurely on the stone bed in the cell. There was not a single trace of fear on his beautiful face. Seeing this, she couldn't help but burst out laughing and said helplessly, Wretched girl, you're so relaxed. Miss. Grape's face was full of surprise. He didn't think that Miss would come to save her so quickly, hee. Open the cell. Lung Ruoxue gave Grape a consoling look and said to the guards in the prison. This, the guard stammered, standing still and not daring to move. What's wrong? Do you need me to invite your family head here before you can take her away? Lung Ruoxue replied indifferently. She then looked at Ning Howlan, her eyes clearly saying, You're not strong enough as a young master. The guards didn't even give you face. Ning Howlan smiled wryly, then ordered the guard, Didn't you hear what Miss Lung said? Hurry up and open the cell door. Young master. It was the ninth miss who ordered her to be locked in here. The guard was in a difficult position. He couldn't afford to offend the young master, but he couldn't afford to offend the ninth miss even more. This didn't mean that the ninth miss status in the Ning family was higher than the young masteress, but that the ninth miss was too vicious. If she knew that he had let go of the criminal who had offended the ninth miss would not let him go. You're afraid of the ninth young mistress, but aren't you afraid of the young master? Cheng Xian narrowed his eyes and smiled. Afraid? Even I'm afraid. Woo, the guard said with an aggrieved expression. Hurry up and open the cell. Otherwise, if Miss Lung comes to find your family's old ancestor, you won't even know how you died. Cheng Xian threatened. Yes. The guard wanted to cry but had no tears. Why was it that the people he had met today were all more difficult to deal with than the other, and each had a stronger background than the other? The guard's hands trembled and his face was ashen. He took out the key and opened the cell door with trembling hands. Seeing this, Grape swaggered out from inside. "Miss!" Grape called out softly. Lung Ruoxue looked Grape up and down. After confirming that she wasn't injured, she finally felt at ease. "What's going on?" Lung Ruoxue asked indifferently. "Miss, don't even mention it. I'm really unlucky to have met a crazy woman while walking." Grape's face was gloomy as he explained, "I was walking fine, but I met a woman on the way. That woman said that I was disrespectful to her and bumped into her. Her maidservant wanted to attack me, but I beat her down. After that, I was captured by the guard she called and put in prison. That woman is the 9th young lady of the Ning family?" Lung Ruoxue raised her brows and asked with a smile that was not a smile. That woman was even more annoying than Ning Xie. At least in front of outsiders, Ning Xie would still pretend to be obedient. However, that woman was cruel and cold-blooded. Her maidservant couldn't beat me, so she abandoned her. She even said that she wouldn't let me go. This is really an unexpected disaster." Grape said gloomily. "It seems that she hasn't had the time to attack you yet?" Cheng Xian teased with a smirk. That woman seemed to have something urgent to attend to, so I'm safe for now." Grape nodded. Hearing Grape's words, Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes turned to Ning Haolon. She asked with a faint smile, "Who is the 9th young lady of the Ning family? How come I've never heard of it?" "Thanks, the 9th young mistress name is Ning Shan. In recent years, she's been out training and rarely comes back to the Ning family. However, she's very talented, so she's very doted on by the Ning family. She almost became Qing Xian's fiancée." Ning Haolon explained, then pulled out another gossip. "Damn it. Just say what you want to say to her. Why drag me into this?" Cheng Xian gritted his teeth, his face full of displeasure. "I'm just telling the truth." Ning Haolon replied innocently. Then, as if he suddenly recalled something, he said, "Arg. She didn't come back because she knew you were in the Ning family, right? Impossible. Don't spout nonsense." Cheng Xian's face drained of all color as cold sweat began to drip down his forehead. "Wu, I don't want to see that lunatic. Besides, if Haolon didn't mention it, I'd have almost forgotten that woman had once pursued me like a madman." He glared at Ning Haolon with hatred at the thought. "Ha! Don't be afraid, she's not as strong as you, so she can't use force on you." Ning Haolon said with a smirk. "Damn it. You're still talking?" Cheng Xian was burning with anger. "All right. I'm not going to joke with you anymore." It's good that Ning Haolon is happy. "Great aunt. That woman is very scary and possessive, so if you see her, it's best to stay as far away as possible. It's even better if you don't see her face, otherwise, you may not be able to keep your beautiful little face." Cheng Xian said with a worried expression. "What's the meaning of this?" Lung Ruoxue squinted her eyes and asked in confusion. "That woman is overbearing, selfish, vicious, and cruel. She can't stand anyone being stronger than her. She also claims to be the most beautiful woman in the world. Tell me, if such an unreasonable woman sees you, will she let you go?" Cheng Xian asked. "Xian's right. Ning Shan is indeed a flamboyant, overbearing, and vicious woman. Even Ning Shi is submissive in front of her. Other than Aunt Yen, she should be the highest-ranking young lady in the Ning family. It's only when she's not in the Ning family that Ning Shi can flaunt her power. Also, she's a legitimate child." Ning Haolon added. "So that's how it is. However, it's a little too late for you to ask me to stay away from her now, because even if I don't provoke her, she will still come to find trouble with me." Lung Ruoxue understood. She could already foresee how furious this pampered first wife would be when she found out about someone like her. If that woman was really like what Cheng Xian and Ning Haolon had said, she would definitely go crazy. "Miss, I will protect you." Grape patted his chest and promised. "Silly girl, you'll be at ease if you can protect yourself." Lung Ruoxue chuckled. Great aunt. I'll protect you too, but now's not the time to talk about this. Let's get out of this cell quickly. Otherwise, if that poison scorpion comes, no one will be able to leave easily. Cheng Xian said with a face full of fear. N. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Everyone left the cell and returned to their respective residences. Cheng Xian returned to Lan Garden with Ning Haolan in fear. Just as he was about to pack his things and leave, Ning Haolan pulled him back. What's wrong? Are you trying to sneak away? Ning Haolan said with a smirk. If I don't cower now, when will I? I can't afford to offend that woman, so I'll just hide, all right? Cheng Xian said unhappily. You're not going to protect Leng Ruoxue anymore? Ning Haolan raised an eyebrow. Protect? Why don't I escape with her? That crazy woman definitely won't let the three of them go. If there's really a conflict, then your Ning family will also be in trouble. It's better for me to leave. The more Cheng Xian spoke, the more he felt that his words made sense. Chapter 1609, The Ninth Young Mistress, 3. Can't you be a little more promising? He's the young master of the Chung family, yet he's afraid of a woman to this extent. Ning Haolan's face was full of disdain. You think I'm afraid of her? If she wasn't a member of the Ning family, would I have to do this? I can't hit him, I can't scold him, what can I do? If it was someone else, they would have just snapped, but could she? Even if you don't come to me for revenge, will her ancestors let me off? Unless I can also advance to Reverend God level. Otherwise, I can only hide. Cheng Xian said helplessly. Ning Haolan knew that Cheng Xian was right. There were 8 supreme gods in the Ning family. Excluding the ancestors, only the first and second elders were involved in the family's affairs. As for the other supreme gods, they were all in seclusion in the depths of the Forbidden Land. They would not come out unless there was an important matter or the family's survival was at stake. Among these supreme gods, one of them happened to be a direct elder of Ningshan heir's line. The Nings were protective of their own. It was even more vividly reflected in that person. Therefore, if something really happened to Ningshan, that person would definitely not stand by and watch. But you're always hiding like this. It won't solve anything. Ning Haolan reminded him, feeling a headache coming on. A man who had always enjoyed playing the game was actually scared off by a woman to the point of hiding everywhere. If word of this got out, he would be a laughing stock. It's better than being pestered by her. Unless she has taken a fancy to another man, I can only avoid her every time I see her. Cheng Xian said in a very useless manner. At this moment, Ning Wu, who had been sent to find out news about Ning Shan returned. He bowed to Ning Haolan and Cheng Xian, then slowly said, Young master, the 9th young mistress is not in the main residence right now. Where did he go? Ning Haolan was a little surprised. His 9th sister should have just returned, right? I don't know the exact location, but I heard from the people in the 9th young lattice courtyard that 9th young lady came back to wash up and then dressed up to go out. It seems that she went to meet her sweetheart. Ning Wu reported. Arg, beloved? Are you sure? Cheng Xian's eyes widened in disbelief. I'm not very sure, but there is an 80 to 90% chance that the maidservants and guards in the 9th young lattice courtyard all said that her heart is budding with love. Ning Wu said, a little embarrassed. He had wanted to ask about the 9th young lattice situation, but who knew that the maidservants and guards in the 9th young lattice courtyard would gossip about this to him when they saw him. After he heard it, he felt embarrassed. Arg. Ha. I'm safe. Ha ha. Cheng Xian exclaimed, and then burst out laughing without caring about his image. Ning Haolan's face was filled with helplessness. Then, are you still afraid? Ning Haolan could not help but ask. She already has someone she likes who won't pester me anymore, so why should I be afraid? Cheng Xian rolled his eyes at Ning Haolan. But this is just a rumor. You can't believe it. Ning Haolan reminded him on purpose. There's no smoke without fire. Cheng Xian didn't mind. Good luck then. Ning Haolan had nothing more to say. Haolan, why don't you come with me to visit Ning Shan when she returns and confirm her suspicions? Cheng Xian suggested after some thought. Good. Then I'll risk my life to accompany you. Ning Haolan nodded. Ning Wu, send someone to keep an eye on her. If the 9th young mistress comes back, immediately send someone to inform me. Ning Haolan turned around and instructed Ning Wu. Yes. Ning Wu nodded and turned to leave. Cheng Xian was in a great mood, and he pulled Ning Haolan to the garden to have tea and chat. Thanks, it was late at night. When the two of them were about to go back to their rooms to rest, Ning Wu hurriedly came to report. Young master. Oh no, the 9th young mistress has gone to the forbidden area in the back mountain. Ning Wu said loudly. When did she come back? Ning Haolan quickly asked. She came back less than half an hour ago. However, I heard from the guards that she went to the prison cell first before going to the forbidden area in the back mountain. Ning Wu said. Could she have gone to find trouble with me? Cheng Xian said worriedly, sigh. He knew that woman was not easy to deal with. She had been out for the whole night and had just returned, and she was already restless. Let's go take a look. Ning Haolan was worried as well. Ning Shan-er and Ning Xia were different. If possible, he did not wish for Ning Shan-er and Leng Ruoxue to have any conflict. After that, the two of them looked at each other and went straight to the forbidden area in the back mountain. As they approached, Cheng Xian and Ning Haolan heard a loud slap in the middle of the quiet night. The two of them quickly walked over. Sha-ne, Ning Haolan said. At the same time, he turned to look at the guard's face, only to see that it was red and swollen, with a few black and blue scratch marks on it. These were clearly signs of poisoning. So it's young master big brother. It's so late, why aren't you resting? Ning Shan-er asked with a proud expression. Shan, where's the antidote? Give it to me. Ning Haolan did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. However, he was extremely annoyed with this clan sister of his. If he could, he really did not want to have any dealings with Ning Shan-er, especially when she had to wear a fake smile on her face. Young Lord Big Brother, it's just a small poison, there's no need to use an antidote. Ning Shan-er smiled sweetly and said nonchalantly. Cut the crap and give me the antidote. Ning Haolan suppressed his anger. A little poison? Half of the guard's face darkened. Was this still a little poison? There's no antidote. Ning Shan-er said coldly. No antidote? Then how dare you poison your clansmen? Ning Haolan was a little angry now, and the gentle smile on his face was replaced by a hint of anger. He was the one who offended me first. I only gave him a small lesson. Ning Shan-er did not feel that she was in the wrong. She was a young lady of the Ning family's direct line, and a legitimate child at that. On the other hand, the other party was only a guard. No matter if it was identity or status, they could not compare to her. Did you offend the 9th young mistress? Hearing Ning Shan-er's words, Ning Haolan turned to look at the guard. 9th young mistress wants to enter the forbidden area. I don't dare to let her in. The guard said bluntly. His words were also very clear. He had been beaten and poisoned by the 9th young mistress because he had done his duty. The poison might not have killed him, but half of his face had lost feeling. Shan, don't you know what kind of place the forbidden area is? How can we force our way in? Ning Haolan asked unhappily with a straight face. The Ning family's forbidden area was off limits to anyone, not even the acting master, unless they had the permission of the old ancestor, let alone Ning Shan-er. I know. However, since even an outsider can live in the forbidden area, why can't I, as a direct descendant of the Ning family, go in? Ning Shan-er roared in jealousy. Her beautiful face was red from anger, and her beautiful eyes were even more dazzling in the night. Is the outsider that 9th young mistress is referring to the first elder of the Craftsmen's Guild? Suddenly, Cheng Xian said with a faint smile. Chapter 1610. So it's her? 1. What are you doing here? When she saw Cheng Xian, Ning Shan-er's anger flared up. I've always been here. It's just that 9th young mistress' eyesight isn't good and didn't see me. Cheng Xian teased, but in his heart he was thinking, it looks like Ning Shan really isn't interested in me anymore. If this was in the past, she would have already pounced on me, hee hee. That's great, he thought to himself. Your eyes are the one with bad eyesight. You're clearly too small. Ning Shan-er retorted sarcastically, unwilling to be outdone. In any case, she would definitely not be at a disadvantage. All right. I'm too insignificant to enter your eyes, ninth young lady. Cheng Xian admitted. It's good that you know. I was really blind in the past. How could I have taken a fancy to you? Now I know that there's always someone better than you. Ning Shan-er said with a look of disdain and regret. After hearing her words, Cheng Xian was even more certain that Ning Shan-er had a new target. Otherwise, she would not belittle herself like that. However, this was really good news for him. However, he did not know which unlucky man had caught Ning Shan-er's eye. He felt a little sympathetic for that unknown man. Congratulations, ninth young mistress, for coming back from the wrong path. However, you haven't answered my question yet. Cheng Xian said with a smile. He was in a good mood. What's the problem? Ning Shan was confused. The outsiders you said live in the forbidden area, are you referring to the Armament Guild's Grand Elder? Cheng Xian repeated, his heart filled with regret. What a pity! The ninth daughter of the Ning family had amnesia at such a young age. Of course not. I'm talking about the ancestor's goddaughter. What right does she have to live in the forbidden area? Ning Shan-er said with a face full of jealousy. As the saying goes, the same sex repels the other, while the opposite sex attracts the other. Therefore, after knowing that there was such a woman, she instinctively hated Lung Ruoxue. Just because she's the goddaughter of your ancestor. Your family's old ancestor let her stay, who would dare to object? Cheng Xian laughed as he cursed in his heart, idiot. If you want to find trouble with Lung Ruoxue, you should first see if you are qualified. This is against the rules. Ning Shan-er said angrily, her heart filled with jealousy. In their generation, other than the young master who had been given special permission by the old ancestor to enter and leave the forbidden area as he pleased, no one else had the right. They couldn't even enter, let alone live in the entrance area. What a great honor that was. Yet she yearned for it, but it was not within her reach, and a woman who had no relationship with the Ning family could live there. How could she, who had always been proud, accept this? Ninth young mistress, the words of your old ancestor are the rules of the Ning family. Cheng Xian sighed and helplessly reminded him. Even so, we can't let an outsider live here. Ning Shan quibbled. It seems like you're doubting your ancestor's decision. Cheng Xian asked with an evil smile. How could I doubt the decision of our ancestor? Don't wrong me. I just feel that I can't explain it to the Ning family if I let an outsider live in the forbidden area. Ning Shan found herself a grand reason. Your ancestor doesn't need to explain to anyone, understand? Cheng Xian was speechless. Ning Haolan also looked at Ning Shan helplessly. The ninth young mistress of the Ning family had long been spoiled to the point where she even dared to criticize the old ancestor. Who was the old ancestor? He was the inheritor with the highest status in the Ning family. The decision of the old ancestor was the decision of the Ning family. Who dared to question it? Then the old ancestor can't ignore the feelings of our Ning family. Ning Shan quibbled. Thanks, Miss Jiu's words were really interesting. Does the old ancestor have to consider the feelings of all your clansmen? All my life, I've only known that our clansmen have to listen to our ancestors and do whatever they're told to do. This is the first time I've heard you say something like this. Cheng Xian sneered. The ninth young mistress was so arrogant that she was beyond saving. Shan, mind your words. Ning Haolan's face was full of disapproval. Big brother young master, please take me with you. Ning Shan-er's beautiful eyes turned as she suddenly begged. Ning Haolan narrowed his bright black eyes and stared unblinkingly at Ning Shan, causing her hair to stand on end. After a long while, he finally spoke indifferently. Shan, you know the importance of this forbidden area. Without the permission of the ancestor, I can't bring you in. Actually, even though Ning Haolan's words were obviously trying to avoid the matter, it was the truth. He knew very well what Ning Shan wanted to do in the forbidden area, so he naturally could not bring her in. Otherwise, if Lung Ruoxue were to lose even a hair on her head, the old grandmadam would not let him off. Then, young Master Big Brother should go and beg the ancestor. Ning Shaner said coyly. It's so late, and you want me to go and beg the ancestor? Ning Haolan squinted his eyes as he sized up Ning Shaner. He wanted to see what this beautiful little head of hers was thinking. Big Brother, young master. It's not too late yet, the old ancestor must not have rested yet. If you're willing to help me beg the old forefather, I'll remember the good in Big Brother, young master. Ning Shaner's eyes flickered as she pleaded. Shan, you're already so big, you should be more sensible. Ning Haolan's handsome face was filled with disappointment. Young Lord Big Brother, I beg you. I'll remember your good deeds. Ning Shaner continued to plead. However, Ning Haolan remained unmoved. Gradually, the anger in Ning Shaner's heart began to surge towards her head, and she began to mutter disdainfully in her heart, "Humph. He was just an orphan whose parents had died early. If he had not entered the eyes of the old ancestor, how could he have been the young master?" Because she had failed to get what she wanted, Ning Haolan was an eyesore to her. She even thought that if her own brother became the young master, he definitely wouldn't be like this. Shaner, it's getting late. Go back and rest. Ning Haolan reminded him with a faint smile. Then he gave Qing Xian a look and warned him before he left. You should know the consequences of barging into the forbidden area, so don't do anything stupid. As she watched Ning Haolan and Qing Xian leave, Ning Shaner's heart was filled with hatred. She then looked at the guards who refused to make an exception, and in a fit of anger, Ning Shaner left. After Ning Shaner left, she did not return to her own residence immediately. Instead, she went to look for her own brother. Her brother was called Ning Haojie, and he was one of the best among the younger generation of the Ning family. In her heart, her brother's potential was not any worse than Ning Haolan's. It was a pity that he was not as well liked by the old ancestor as Ning Haolan. However, from her perspective, whether Ning Haolan could become the master of the Ning family and whether he could sit firmly on the position was still an unknown. After all, there were too many people in the Ning family who wanted to replace him, and many people were waiting for Ning Haolan to make a mistake. Furthermore, her brother's advantage over Ning Haolan was that his parents were still alive. Her mother's clan might not be as powerful as a top-tier clan like the Ning clan, but it was still one of the top clans outside of the 8 great divine domains. His father held a high position in the Ning family as well. He was the lord of a city in the Ning family's divine realm. He managed Sea City, the second largest city after the main city. Ning Haolan only had a big uncle who was of similar blood to him as the substitute lord of the Ning family. However, an uncle was not his father. No matter how close they were, it could not be compared to the relationship between a father and a son. Thus, these were all the advantages of his brother. Chapter 1611. So it's her, too. When they arrived at the courtyard where Ning Haojie was, Ning Shaner could hear groans coming from inside before she even got close. Instantly, her face was filled with anger as she kicked open her brother's room and strode in. In the room, a man and a woman were having sex on the bed. After hearing the movement, the two immediately sobered up and looked up at the person who made the movement. Shan, you're getting more and more unruly. You don't even know how to knock before entering your brother's room. On the bed, Ning Haojie covered himself with the thin blanket, looking a little embarrassed. Can you hear me knocking on the door? Ning Shaner raised her brows and spoke with a look of disdain. In her opinion, her brother was not bad in every way except for his lecherous nature. If her brother was willing to devote all his time and effort to cultivation, he would not have been stuck at the Divine Lord realm for so many years. One must know that Ning Haolan had been a god king for a long time. Thinking of this, she had a feeling of disappointment towards her brother. If her brother was the young master, then her position in the Ning family would be even more respected. What a pity! This could only be a hypothesis now. What's the matter? Ning Haojie changed the topic as he gently stroked the woman who was trembling in fear. Big brother, can't you put more effort into your cultivation? Could it be that you're willing to be beneath Ning Haolan forever? You must know that your aptitude is not inferior to his. When Ning Shan saw her brother's nonchalant attitude, she felt a surge of anger in her heart. So what? He's already a young master. Ning Haojie said helplessly. Everyone was equal in terms of young masters, but it was a pity that there could only be one young master. In front of Ning Haolan, he was a loser. Moreover, he was well aware of his own strength. Even if he and Ning Haolan were both divine lords, he would not be a match for Ning Haolan. What's wrong with the young master? The young master isn't the head of the family. As long as he doesn't become the head of the family, others will still have a chance. Ning Shan said nonchalantly. In her opinion, even if Ning Haolan became the head of the family, it was not impossible for someone to replace him. How dare you think like this? You don't want to live anymore? If word of this gets out, do we still have a way out? You want to get us killed, don't you? Ning Haojie said a little angrily. He was about to die from anger at his sister's nonsense. What a big-chested, brainless idiot. Did they think that he didn't want to be the young master or the family head? Unfortunately, as long as Ning Haolan was around, he would never dream of taking that position. He was well aware of this, but it was a pity that this restless sister of his seemed to be a little muddled in the head. Big brother. I'm telling the truth. As long as you can win the old forefathers' favor, we'll find a way to find out Ning Haolan's faults. By then, Ning Haolan will naturally lose the hearts of his clansmen, and you'll be the young master soon, won't you? Ning Shan said matter-of-factly, and the smile on her face grew. As long as she thought about her brother having the chance to become the young master, her heart was filled with joy. Do you think it's so easy to win the favor of the ancestor? Ning Haojie laughed coldly. He was speechless about his sister's daydream. How do you know it won't work if you don't try? I've decided, tomorrow you'll go curry favor with the ancestor, you must make him like you. Ning Shan ordered. All right then. I'll try my best. Ning Haojie said perfunctorily, because he knew very well that if he didn't say that, his sister would not leave his room. This is more like it. After Ning Shan finished speaking, she held her sleeves and left. 3 days passed in a flash, and the final round of the family competition was held as scheduled. This final match also adopted a round-robin system. In other words, everyone had to go through 4 rounds of competition before the final victor could be decided. Although there were only 5 people participating in the competition, 2 of them were monarch gods while the other 3 were god-level masters. Ning Hai and the other divine lord were the favorites to win the championship and were watched. Moreover, the number of people who came to watch the competition today was the highest in the previous few rounds. Thanks, it wasn't even time for the match to start yet, but the audience was already packed. The atmosphere in the stadium today was particularly high. Red silk was hung everywhere, fluttering in the wind. The gongs and drums were loud in the stadium. Everyone was using their own unique way to express the excitement in their hearts. When Lung Ruoxue and the rest entered the competition grounds, they were greeted with such a lively scene. Miss, so many people. Grape said happily. Today is the last match of the competition. Oh right, you should give this bottle of healing pills to Brother Ning. Make sure he's in his best condition for the competition. Lung Ruoxue took out a jade bottle and passed it to Grape. Yes, miss. Grape took the jade bottle and turned to leave. Miss, are we going to meet that 9th young mistress today? Lotus Seed couldn't help but ask. I will. What, are you scared? Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly as she teased. I'm not afraid. It's just that we're about to leave the Ning family, and we've provoked such a person before we leave, so I'm quite depressed. Lotus Seed said helplessly. Lotus Seed. We can avoid trouble, but we can't stop trouble from coming to us. So, the only thing we can do is to adapt to the situation and respond to the changes with the same approach. Lung Ruoxue said disapprovingly. But she's a member of the Ning family after all. It's not good to be too stiff with her. Lotus Seed was a little worried. If the 9th young mistress didn't have such a relationship with the Ning family, she wouldn't care about how the 9th young mistress acted. Lotus Seed, you're going to become a little old lady if you let your imagination run wild. Remember, there are some things that we can't control. However, if someone really dares to provoke us, no matter who he is, We don't have to be polite. Lung Ruoxue said very seriously. In her opinion, as long as the Ning family did not go too far, she would turn a blind eye for the sake of her godfather. However, she had a bottom line. If someone really crossed her bottom line, then don't blame her for not recognizing her own family. N. Lotus Seed nodded. The two of them chatted as they walked and soon arrived at the VIP seats. The moment Lung Ruoxue took her seat, First Elder immediately went over. "Girl, where are your bodyguards?" The Great Elder asked with a smile. "He stayed at home to wash the dishes. He'll be back before the game." Lung Ruoxue said softly. Little girl, you're so bad. You're the second elder of the Ning family, and you're asking him to wash the dishes for you?" When the Great Elder said this, his face was full of gloating. It could be seen that he was in a very good mood. I'm also teaching him the basic knowledge of life. Other than cultivation, that person doesn't care about the 5 grains. If it wasn't for the Ning family's support, I'm afraid he would have starved to death long ago. Lung Ruoxue said in an exaggerated manner. Starved to death? The Great Elder wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and thought to himself, he's a reverent god after all. Is there a need to starve to death? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.